T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hope this doesn't sound too bad, but live at first person I'm not going to talk to is a shipping guy because it's the wrong company. But yeah, no, we're gonna just walk around. Sorry, Mike, we can't be friends. You've shipped with the wrong company. Yeah, you'll understand more later. Yeah. So yeah, no, we got. I'm gonna cycle a couple people into the conversation. I'll be honest, right now it's just a conversation with us, which is probably awful intro. I hope MJ's not watching right now. Whoever's watching this, don't let MJ know. But no, I'm going to work with, I got a couple old school guys down here in Florida I'm going to try to find. They're out here getting drunk somewhere, so it's a little bit of a scavenger kind of thing. They're here. I can smell them. They're in the air. I just don't know where they're at yet. But I think we're going to try to get some Bill Albright in. If you guys don't know Bill Albright, Southeast guy, been around the hobby for a long time. Really a big fan of him. Other than that, I might get a little Ben Cole on here. I got a couple hog-nosed guys I might talk to. But yeah, we're gonna get something put together, but I'm gonna try something really quick. Give me 1 second. Hey, I'm on a live podcast with myself, by myself. You want to talk? No? That's our second strikeout in a row. Second strikeout in a row. It's going awful right now. And again, I can feel MJ watching me. I know he's around here somewhere. Oh yeah, he's always nearby, buddy. He's always nearby. But yeah, well, again, not going as well as we want, but. Here's a character I like, buddy. Let's talk to a little Mike. Want to talk a little bit, Mikey?
Why?
Because we're on a podcast.
We're on a podcast, really.
It's a live podcast.
It's a live podcast.
My whole
Daytona Beach, baby.
Yeah, just don't talk about where you work, because you don't. Yeah, you're not a sponsor, so you can't plug your brand. You can wear. You got your Chad shirt on.
I got my Chad shirt on, which is the wrong shirt to wear.
Chad shirt on, buddy.
It's a great Chad shirt. I mean, everybody knows who I work for, though, right?
Well, maybe you can't really see your face very well, so maybe they don't know.
Until I talk. You know what? How about this? Until I talk and use an accent.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your success recently, man. You had a clutcher show me earlier.
Oh, yeah. 10 years of keeping pythons, and I finally pulled my finger out my ass and put them together.
Finally got it, buddy. Yeah. Finally got it.
I got an artificial incubation and a maternal incubation.
I love the maternal, though. You talked about that. How many days did the maternal take?
It was about 66 days.
66?
Yeah, she kept it on the cooler spot at the side of the tub. And it just kept going. She kept going. I didn't think they were going to hatch. I thought they were just going to become ornaments.
Did you get a little freaked out? Did you think you fucked up when you got to day 60 and nothing?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
That.
I thought they were going to come ornaments to the snake group. Yeah.
They look good, man. They're all healthy. They're all eating good for you.
They're all good. And then 5 out of the 6 were Jags, which was the best gene I could get out of that clutch because it was a lower red clutch.
So
I couldn't complain.
The glass half full, glass half empty kind of Jag gene. I know what you're talking about.
It's easy to sell a mutt Jag than just a mutt sibling without it going out to be a pure breed. Well, you don't want to do that.
I'll be straight. First off, I actually really like the Jag stuff, and I've been bringing it up a lot lately. But you saw the stuff that Don Patterson made with the Brettle cross.
Stonewall Jags. Yeah, we actually did a project this year with that.
Dude, I love
Casey. That. Yeah. We did Stonewash Jag to my jungle diamond mix. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, we only got two babies though.
I think there's some hybridization stuff I'm actually really okay with, and something about that stuff that he makes, the variety in that, and I like some of the Kluber.
You haven't seen it in person though, the Stonewash Jag?
I'm not going to Vancouver.
Oh no, I had him here. I had him in Atlanta.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, we imported him in from Canada, and they were
pretty tip.
Yeah, they were wild.
like Mary Poppins Fly Away Wild? What are we talking right now?
Yeah, maybe not my old lady, but
not like spider ball pythons. Talking spider ball pythons? What kind of wild are we talking? We talking about the wobble? Did we go?
No, I mean the color.
The color is wild.
I mean, you got to think about how ugly culprit babies are typically. Yeah. They were just breathtaking straight away.
You don't like any of the babies right out the gate? The granites? I always thought
granites always pretty, but they're just a brown blob at that point. When they're first.
Diamond Project's nice. Hey, JT.
There you go. You've got another person now.
Yeah, sit down, talk a little bit.
There you go. We can trade off.
Yeah, I made a mistake. I said I was going to do a live podcast. We're doing a podcast now.
Yeah, we traded off. Yeah. Way to go, buddy. Appreciate you.
Sold by going to a JT. I'll talk to JT all day. Look at this fucking tall glass water, man.
I got to watch my
You're the second guy in a row to ignore me. That's fine. It's fine. We did it live. I know you love me. They know you love me. You just don't want to talk to me. That's fine. Well, I'll talk to you later when it's less pressure. Yeah, less pressure. Yeah. Talk about anything you want. But, all right. Well, hey, Mike. I appreciate your effort, buddy. I really love talking carpets with you. We could have talked for hours.
We could have talked reptile shipping, but you know.
We'll talk reptile shipping when I ship on Tuesday. I'll catch you, buddy. All right. So, like I said, this might be a complete disaster, but I'm sure there's a few of you listening. I don't even know what the live's looking like right now. Let's try to see if I can find somebody with a little bigger brain around here. I need like a Bill Albright or somebody. We're gonna go curbside and see if we can find anybody over there. But I'll be straight. I think my highlight of the show this weekend is Rod Iron over on Tim Bailey's. I got to see Tim Bailey a little while ago. I was holding that animal. It's very uncommon for me to actually go to a show and want to hold something, so that felt pretty good. We're going to do a quick load. By the way, we're live. Because I'm doing a podcast. I got to keep on telling.
How you doing, Al? How you doing, Dave?
Man, how are you guys
got
doing?
here, man. We're enjoying
Would you like to say hello? A little something? Just got Daytona. You want to say hello to everybody? We're going live. Yeah, that's a pretty good hello. Always good to see you. I know I'm scaring people with this thing. I'm going to find a dark corner somewhere with like a Tim Bailey. I got to find a Tim Bailey. I'll catch you soon, bud. Yeah, so now I can't tell whether or not I'm not approachable. It could be me. I actually work people down pretty good over a long period of time of begging them to do things like this with me. Usually people say no 3 or 4 times. So where it seems like I'm having bad luck right now, I'm having the same luck I always have. I hate my life. But I'm going to find a breeder. There's breeders hiding around this place. I just got to find a Bill Albright. Let's see what we got here. Usually I just walk around these shows and I get looped into these random conversations I'm usually okay with. I'm not happy about this either, guys. I need to stop gawking at me. But yeah, like I said, I guess we're trying a new thing. I think I already said that 7 or 8 times. There's a rowdy bunch of guys over here. I think I'm going to see if I can find one of these guys to jump in with us. But trying to think what else I saw at the show today. I'm going to talk up Chad Halker's stuff. If you guys are coming out to Daytona this weekend, if you're not already here, if you're here, you shouldn't be listening to this right now. Chad Halker is good for a Firefly, Cypress. What else did that motherfucker have in that thing? Firefly, Cypress, Yellow Belly Puzzle. Great female. I was dumb enough to sell one of my Cypress hets years ago, and he put that thing to work. Really cool clutch. I don't know what he's going to do with it next year. We were chatting about it a little bit. I really love, it's really tough because you got all these ball python pairings right now, and a lot of the guys, it's always about next year, 2 years later, 3 years later. I want the now. I love this whole building for the future thing, and I still do say from an investment standpoint, there's probably no better thing to do other than build for the future. But I want to see some of the combos, not in the lower end, but I want to see all the puzzle combos before I got to see it in DG. I want to see all the puzzle combos before I got to see it in hypo. I feel like we barely scratched the surface of that project. And again, I'm a puzzle fanatic because I bring it up all the time. But man, it'd be really cool if he was able to maybe bang out some Cypress puzzle het DG stuff, and that again would probably take him to the next level. I think he was lucky enough to hit some red stripe puzzle het DGs this year, so maybe he can make some red stripe Cypress stuff, which I really love together. But I don't know, man. Like I said, I want to see more combos with Cypress. I want to see the DGs in the future. Don't get me wrong. I can wait a few more years for that, but I want to see the basic stuff right now. Man, I'll be honest. I've never had to take so many laps around this place to find one person willing to talk to me. I think it's this camera's really freaking them out. But we got into some stuff the other day. Sunset's been a big one we've been talking about too this weekend. The love-hate for it. I know in the video we did on Thursday night, there was a lot of people that, Chad's a little fussy about it. It's not his favorite thing. I do believe William's at least dabbling in it. I know Bob's going to dabble in it. We all know I'm working with it. Man, I still think it's... I think that Sunset is essential. I still think it's a recessive that it's really underutilized. Again, it's a color base that isn't a T positive or T negative albino that passes on recessively. I think that personally, I think we're stupid for sleeping on Sunset. I really don't understand the love-hate relationship. I understand there's a little bit of a sketchy past. I know the terminology when people started using red right off the bat might have freaked them out a little bit. But no, I think we just watched the video a few minutes ago at dinner where Justin made, I believe it was a hypo spot nose, DG, sunset, heck clown, I believe. And I guess the guys at my table never saw that animal before, which kind of blows my mind. I think out of everything in the Sunset project so far, I think it's one of my favorites. Sunset, I'm going to go back to what we said about it being red. I think red was a pretty rough explanation about the project. I think red threw people off on the original pairings. It gave them something they could bitch about saying, hey, this is not a red ball python. I think that sucks. I think it was not so much not red enough, but I think it's a deconstruct, reconstruct. I really love the Fire Sunset stuff. I do think that maybe if we put a couple enhancer projects in there, and then maybe a dark chain, maybe a blackhead. I still don't know if I like the GHI for that project. GHI is one of those ones that I think the pattern mimics the Sunset too much. But I've always kind of said the Sunset almost has a GHI pattern. So I don't think GHI is one of those dark chains I'm going to want to put in there. I think we could be smarter about it. Even in the super form of GHI, I'm not really sure that's going to be a good idea to go. But again, when we talk about the Sunsets too, we had brought up the fact that there's a lot of guys that are going to start chasing the puzzle Sunsets, the DG stuff. And, a lot of people are going to miss the opportunities to make a campfire Sunset. People are going to miss the opportunity to make a Mystic Potion Sunset. Maybe it's silly trying to put a purplish pigment into a Sunset, but, it could unlock something weird we haven't seen before. And, I think with a lot of ball python breeding, we get stuck in our ways trying to make like the same regurgitated product over and over again. And I think we need to kind of shake it up a little bit, if that makes sense. Man, who are we looking for? Oh, I got this motherfucker with a matching hat. Hey, buddy. I'm live. Want to talk? I got to do a podcast. The routine got matching. Yeah, but Herping buddy, go ahead. You introduce yourself, man, and the business.
Jeff from Reptile.
That's tight. Patreon members deal out in California. Got to meet this guy at the party. Encouraged me to go herping. I thought it was a great fucking weekend.
Oh,
I loved everything about that weekend.
Catching that rattlesnake was the highlight of the trip for me.
Love the rattlesnake, man. Got lucky on that. When you go herping, dude, like we talked about it, you can go to all the right spots and it doesn't mean shit.
Yep.
It felt good because I'm a cocky son of a bitch. I thought we were gonna find something, so it felt good to live up to that. It worked. It just worked out, man. But give a little background, man. Tell a little bit about the business, and we'll pick a project to talk about.
Okay. Free ball pythons. My personal favorite project right now is probably black xanthic. Okay. I guess you got to call it CSK xanthic now.
Okay. So I know what our topic's going to be. So let's keep going from there, man.
Yeah. Just wanted to make everything I can dark, and I really like the angle of hypo with black xanthic.
Okay.
I see a lot of people doing DG, which I also like, but I love the true ghost. So I want to work a little bit of both, to be honest with you.
I always love the terminology behind true ghost because, ghost is kind of used in a bunch of different species where it's missing of aneurystic and hypo.
Yep.
But of course, we already had the hypo ball python. We already things we had called the ghost. So the true ghost, I thought was kind of a neat name for that project.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk SK because I think this is a good topic, man. All right, so you've already put the time in. You invested in the black xanthic, so it made more sense.
Yes, at the time.
Where does it put you now? Do you just stay on course?
Yeah, so personally, I'm still going to call mine black xanthic because that's all I bought.
Okay.
But I plan to line breed, so only keep the darkest ones, and just trying to keep working the darker every generation. But as far as using TSK animals, if I find a nice dark one, I'll use it, but I'll be upfront and say, I use the TSK, even though it's the same thing. But
do you think there's an underlining trait in that project where you're getting these crazy degrees? Because I thought maybe for a minute it was line bred, but like, I don't know if I believe it's a line bred. I almost think there's like a sneaky trait in there.
Second gene, maybe?
Second gene, yeah.
The real dark ones?
I think, a lot of mutations, I always talk about like blackhead was ringer and red gene. What is it? Cypress was also honey.
Yeah.
It seems like sometimes they piggyback, and on recessives it's a little different. I don't know how cryptic got worked into DG, but now it seems like a lot of DG has the cryptic floating in it.
And you always see red stripe with granite.
Yeah.
They definitely. I think you're right though. I think to get the true dark one,
Yeah.
I don't even know if line breeding will get you there. I think it's kind of luck of the draw.
Look at the
So
draw.
maybe that's really another gene, but
Yeah, because I've seen really, and again, I'm not shitting on the project by any means, but I've seen really good ones bred to really good ones, and I've seen really bad outcomes.
I've heard that. Yeah.
I just would have thought I'd saw more, so that kind of took me away from thinking it could be a line bred trait.
Yep.
And then, you know, you got things in the SKs like the Stormtroopers that really drove a lot of guys to SK because everybody wanted that darker pigment. But I think that was another one of those animals that was unreproducible. Like, it happened, we got it, but we couldn't make another one if we wanted to.
I would agree.
But they're beautiful when it happens. I love it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think it would scare me away from it. I think, you know, sometimes too, like when you find out, I mean, here's the thing, now there's so much SK done out there. In my opinion, there's probably more done with the SK project, except when it comes to like triple recessives. It seemed like everybody went VPI.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
I don't know what that's all about. I mean, I've always liked VPI, but there was more genes in SK they could have used if they want to get DG into it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Maybe it's because who's working with projects. You got Canova doing VPI, so he's going right for the triple.
Yeah.
And who's the guy who's really good with PSK?
Well, it's oh man, I held his baby. I feel John Day.
John Day.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
maybe
JD.
Yeah, no, sorry. He's just working different projects where he's pushing the double and not really doing triples. He was working like he did a lot of Nancy Clown stuff, some hypo stuff, but then maybe now he's working triples. I don't know. It's probably just who was working the project.
I do think a name behind a project is going to make it a little more successful. VPI xanthic stuff, like we were talking about, the black xanthic.
Yeah.
You know what? I guess, you know, it was kind of funny because I feel like when we found out it was an SK, everyone was like, "Oh, I should have known that. Should have known that. Never thought it."
Yep.
And you know, for one company to pop up two VPI or two xanthic projects, not that it's like weird at any means, but it's kind of like live on a podcast. You guys say hello if you want. Strong. But yeah, just so like, I don't know. I do think this. I got a little sidetracked there, but I do think there's a little marketing. I do think the name behind the project is going to get you a little further. Sometimes people want to see a little more work, and then there's some guys that'll stick with like. I'll still say a VPI xanthic is the best adult xanthic. I still think it gets the least amount of browns on it. That is my opinion. A lot of people say the MJs and the GCR look better. I got some GCR pieds. I think they're beautiful. You'll never work with another line of xanthic, right? You're SK now, essentially, moving forward.
Yeah, mostly just for avoid the confusion. Not that I don't like the other lines. It's just like if they're not compatible, I don't know how that helps my collection. You know what I'm saying?
All right, how about this? I'm a little long-winded with talking about whatever the hell I'm talking with right now. But do you think that they'll all absorb the name of SK? You think people will keep them separate, even though technically genetically the same but different?
Yeah, I don't know about that because I have a buddy of mine who we're working this project pretty good together, and he's adamant keeping it black xanthic. I'm more of like TSKs. There's more TSK animals out there, and it's the same gene.
Yeah,
I don't see the harm in calling it TSK, but
I don't see the harm in it either.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't. I guess just how about this? When somebody Googles something to improve their SK game that maybe doesn't know about a black xanthic being the same thing, when it comes to the morph market algorithm, you might not see a quality animal you might want if somebody has it as a black xanthic.
Right.
So I don't know if it needs to be like an asterisk or if there needs to be something put on there where they're still within like the same search, I guess you could say.
Yeah, maybe do a slash. Yeah,
Maybe a slash.
I'm not sure. How would you go about that? If you had both lines, you just
I thought you're supposed to be doing this with me. What the heck? Yeah, well, I thought that's my co-host. I had a whole other idea, and that didn't work out. But yeah, we're just bullshit. I don't even know if it's working out.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know if they can hear us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're going.
You want me to log in?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I checked
you
on my way.
Oh, you were
listening.
Yeah, fanboy,
Yeah,
buddy.
I was
Now
a
look what
special
you're.
guest.
Yeah, you're a special
I was
guest.
with Bob, and MJ's like, you can show up late.
Yeah,
It's okay.
yeah,
I was like, okay, as long as I get there within a half
I am,
hour,
and I'm
I'll
not
be
allowed to show up. But ask me that last question, guys. I'm gonna finish that up, and then
I was just
We're
asking you, if you had two genes that were technically, they came out to be the same, would you just go with the more popular name, or how do you handle it?
Okay, so I'm kind of a piece of shit on that.
Okay.
Yes,
Go with the more
I'd probably go with the more popular name. The arguments on that would be people that go from banana to coral glow, people
Right.
that go from butter to lesser, there are people from a marketing standpoint that still believe that butters make an orchard animal, but at this point, their lessers could be butters and they wouldn't know it. There's people the same thing with the other ones. So I think that is, again, more of a marketing thing. And I think as long as there's honesty behind the marketing, I don't see a problem with it. But, you know, when I look at certain things like those two I compared, when they're pretty much exactly the same in my eyes, it's tough. You know, if it wasn't for the genetic testing, you know, we wouldn't even know about the FK. Right. Like, you know, this would be a big mystery. And, you know, I know the legwork was put into that project. Some pairings were done, but, you know, there was still clearly a lot to learn about it because we found out over a test. Yeah. But no, I always kind of like that. You know, testing, you're not a ball python guy, are you?
I am.
Okay, cool. Let me get this. Well, we're going to do this a group talk. This is group talk now.
They can hear us too, by the way.
Okay,
so.
here's right. So, okay, how about this? So we're talking SKs and the whole absorbing the project together. I think we put in a good, I think that was 10 minutes of SK content. What are your projects?
So I'm in the Dreamsicle Holy Grail, Ultramel Hypoclown Pied, Ultramel Sunset Hypo, and I just got into paint. A little bit, I'm going to work that into Hypo too.
Okay.
And I do have a puzzle head Hypo. I'm probably going to work into xanthic.
So all recessives to get you going. Okay, so paint. I talk about paint a lot. I love paint. We talked about paint a little bit ourselves. Julio?
Ophelia.
And it's the whole family's just showing up right now.
Keeping it clean today.
Come a little closer, buddy. Come a little closer. We're tight sitting right now. No, we'll get it later. Not really. Okay, so paint project. I always tell people I think that people look at paint the wrong way. I think they look at the mutation and think of wrong pairings because they don't pay attention to it. If you were going to do, sorry, we've talked no ball pythons. What genes can you see outside of an obvious recessive color trait that'll go into it that you think will make it a little better that maybe people aren't thinking about? Like, and by telling people this, of course, you're giving it away and you're going to have to work really fucking fast.
You're saying not a color recessive.
I would say, so you can go anyway. You can go recessive if you want. A color recessive, you know, obviously hypo, obviously monarch, ultra. That's all going to look nice. I want to see sunset too, but sunset changes the pattern.
Right, but what type of the pattern? Because what I like about paint is that bubbling and that popcorn you get in the lower part of the animal. So if you can kind of keep that, 'cause I feel like sunset, you're mainly dealing with the top dorsal inside, not so much coming up the bottom.
Okay, so
that orange dream, yellow belly, and sunset that makes that color pop still on the bottom.
Yes, and yellow belly, of course, is going to manipulate our pattern a little bit, but I think that like the underlining pattern in the sunset is a really strong pattern. It knocks a lot of things around. I always said it has a very GHI kind of like feel to it, the amount of patterns in the animal. Yeah. You saw the sunset clouds, how heavily patterned that animal was. Yeah. So like, again, one of my concerns with paint is a bold pattern can ruin your paint. Right. And she's bold, and because of that, you can see the paint in there, but you're losing what you like about paint. So that's like one of my concerns where, of course, I have actually thought about sunset quite a bit with that project, and I'll probably run home and still do double hats. Yeah. But I do think paint's going to get knocked around and overshadowed. I think maybe a brightener gene in there to like lace. Well, yeah. I'll talk lace always, guys. I still think lace is one of the coolest ones. Yeah. I over DG, and I say that too. I think it would be very. Yeah.
What I did is I went to Justin's place, right? Yeah. And I didn't even look what was on the tub. I'm just pulling stuff out. Got a ton of DG, got a ton of lace, right? And I chose it with my eye. I'm like, which animal do I like better as an adult? Yeah. And then I would look at the front of the tub. Probably 9 times out of 10 for me, it was a lace animal over the DG. So that's where I went with.
So we talked about white lace a little bit the other night. And, you know, I said that when I look at a project, a lot of pixelation on the sides. Yeah. Any kind of honeycombing I could maybe turn it into. Like the first ever yellow belly xanthic pied I saw had the most amazing honeycombs on the side. And I always thought if you had lace to that where it accentuate those honeycombs more and still keep that really nice black pigment, I think that's awesome. Yeah. So
I think it's the contrast that it keeps that I like the most. You see a lot of those DG animals washed out, right? There's the contrast isn't there.
They're not perfect.
Even the xanthic, it's more of a gray. It's sort of not the black.
It is, and I know there were white lace xanthics made last season. Remember seeing pictures of that?
I saw pastel lace ones. I didn't see any without pastel.
Okay.
But that didn't hurt it. I mean, the pastel xanthic lace looked awesome.
No. Well, again, the tough thing with lace is, jokingly, it's a cheaper way of being a desert ghost breeder. But now the desert ghost prices have come down so much. Now it's actually an investment to be a lace guy. And I remember in some of Justin's videos, and I went back and watched his clown lace desert ghost video, and I thought I picked up on the end of the video when he showed an adult desert ghost and when he showed an adult white lace clown, desert ghost clown, white lace clown side by side. As a baby, he favored the DG, but as an adult, I felt like maybe he favored the clown a little more. I'm sorry, the lace clown or white lace clown. And I feel that was an honest reply by him, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't know if the supers are the investment, it becomes more about the white lace over the lace. I honestly think that the script will be flipped to where white lace clowns will be more than DG clowns, and I think white lace clowns are more than DG clowns now.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh, yes, they are. Oh, you can get a DG Clown 2K. You're not getting a white lace clown 2K.
If you're talking straight, and male and female, probably more than white.
So the market flips because it was $10,000 for a clown DG just a few years ago.
Yeah.
So now lace is going to be a bigger investment. So do we all run lace? It's a better nut looking animal sometimes.
I've been in it for a year, and that's what I went with. So
the
DG.
Are you going lace in your paint stuff?
Probably. Got right off. Probably, yeah. I have a white lace male and a lace clown.
So I'm kind of an asshole, but I've told a few paint people to do that because, again, I think about the white lace, yellow belly pastels that were posted where you had that like black coming up the bottom, all the like pixelation look.
Right.
I feel if you did that with paint, got a lot more pixelation, maybe get some yellow belly in there. I think that's a great looking animal. Like I keep seeing it in my head. Like I said, it accentuates the lower part of the body. I like the blitz in the paint project. I thought the bongo was unique.
Yeah.
I saw the Cypress video. Did you watch the Cypress video on paint?
I think so. Cypress paint? Are you talking about paint clown or Cypress?
No, I'm talking about Cypress paint.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, I'm going to send you guys the video. If you're watching, don't worry, I forget everyone's names, but it was a great video. Well said. He had issues, though, with babies not being born with eyes. Now, it had nothing to do with the parent. I think it's just a fluke. It happens. But the actual visual Cypress paint he had in there was no eye, but it was awesome looking. You kind of had that very traditional pattern down the back of what you'd think, that bubbliness of the Cypress, but then you almost had these teardrops of like black and white pixelation coming up the side. So I like that one.
Like the new eyes.
Well, that could have been that could have been bacteria buildup in the A's. That could have been a genetic anomaly of both being recessive for no eye, het for no eye. Some of that stuff passes on. I think he discussed that a little bit in his video. How you guys doing? I'll talk a lot. You should talk a little bit. How about, what do you do with paint that you can give away? Like,
xanthic paint would be cool.
Okay.
Put lace in it. I mean, the hypo is interesting because it started off it's gone lighter as it got older to me. The one hypo paint I've seen. So I think working some maybe darker stuff in there, maybe like keep the contrast. So I'm not going to say it's like washed out, but definitely got lighter as it got older.
Sure. So I'm going to ask both you guys about this. So when you do these pairings, can you already see it in your head? Like, do you kind of like start engineering it to yourself before you look at it or do it?
Yeah.
Or
kind of take what's already out there in different projects and try to kind of combine the two. What I see. I mean, it depends on how much I think risk you want to take. I'm a smaller, very small collection, so there's only so much risk I can take, right?
No, of course.
What is it?
Space is everything. Can't hold back every clutch every single time. You got to be reasonable.
Right.
Okay, so how many animals do you have? What's your collection size? About 150. 150.
Okay. I've been in it a year. I have about 40, 45.
Okay, cool. You started buying because of why?
Well, so I got into it during COVID, of course. I went on YouTube, saw Brian Bartek open the eggs. That kind of got me into both pythons in general. So I bought my first one worth like kind of a pet. I kind of knew I wanted to breed because I've always kind of had that sort of, I kind of bred fish when I was younger, that kind of thing. And then it wasn't up until last year where I just was walking through, seeing the shows and was like, I want to do that. I want to create, have that kind of creativity in mind. So I bought animals to kind of complement the one I bought and then started investing in others.
Did you go so heavily recessive because everybody said it was a better investment? Or do you like the recessive traits more than a lot of this co-dominant stuff you see around you?
I want to say it was more on the investment side of that, because during the COVID, it was a lot of codon stuff. My first male was like 4 or 5 codon pet clown, and that was what's going. So I think it's more of an investment side, but I think you have to combine a lot of it too. You can't just and I think you have to focus on the right codon. Not any of them; they're not all the same.
No.
You have to select. They're like ingredients, right? Choose very selective. What's going to work with what? Try to see it 3 or 4 years ahead. On the combos you want to make and how you can fit into those. You have supers.
I agree with that, and I do think that more thought is being put into pairings now than in the past. I think before we were just kind of feeling it out, and we did it for 20 years. I do think that now we kind of got directions, like you're saying. So we're all mimicking, but also adding our own little flavor to it, I guess the way you put it.
Yeah. There's a lot of this. I think people are just making these quads, triples, pentas, just without even really.
I didn't even know the word penta. Yeah, we never got that far before.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, but yeah. I know you're right. I've never used that in my vocabulary. I'll remember it now, but I wasn't saying I've asked people this before. All right, well, let's bounce over. Same thing. So you're like 150 animals in right now. What was the first dumb animal you bought before you were smart to buy the right animal? Because my first one was dumb.
I mean, my first snake wasn't the best. I bought a banana and sheephead clown male.
Okay.
That was my very first.
Nothing wrong with
Strictly
that,
just because I thought it was a beautiful snake. And then the next reptile show I went to, I saw a black pewter, and I thought that was really unique. Just because I didn't know anything about genetics at the time, someone said, "Oh, you take a pastel, take a black pastel, and this pops out."
Yeah.
And since then, I was hooked, and I bought a silly black pewter and an 8-ball.
Just cool. I've always liked the 8-balls.
Cool. But then I started to get a little smarter after that. But my first 3 snakes were all pretty dumb purchases.
Well, sometimes we get a good price. Sometimes it takes that one animal to make us realize we want more animals.
Yep.
I think that's just the way it is with everybody. I always tell people, because I meet a lot of people at the shows, and I always want to be honest. And I always tell people, because they're like, "Hey, I just bought this animal. Help me get a breeding plan." I was like, "Cool. Don't plan it around that one animal."
No, right.
Like, awesome, you got it. You're hooked. We love having you, but if you build around that one buy that might have been cheap or just like the right thing for you in that moment, it's not a breeding plan, I guess.
Yep.
And it doesn't always have to be a business standpoint, but I don't know. I think you should put a little thought into what your parents going to be, and especially if you're saying you want to be a future breeder.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once I got going, then I started to think a lot more smarter buys, stuff that makes sense, building a project, not just buying what looks cool. But it did take me a good first 5 snakes to learn my lesson.
Yeah. All right. So one last one. How long did you invest your own money before you were able to put a penny of snake money back in on better investments or just bigger investments?
I would say I'm still yeah. I have not sold anything worse.
A little here, a little there.
Yeah, a little bit, but nothing. Not a lot of money to reinvest. It's still just my own money, just still building a collection.
Yeah, and that's respect.
And just keeping all the good stuff, you know what I mean? So
there's no timeline on that kind of thing, as long as you don't burn yourself off in the process.
Right.
Like I said, mine was 10 years of grinding. I mean, grinding. It wasn't even just reptile stuff. I mean, I would sell my body to science, and I did sell my body to science. I do not own my body. But yeah, no, I like I said, as long as you got the passion, you just keep on rocking. But I mean, so you said you got the black xanthics. What's the other big project you're like really focused on then?
Well, I guess it would be actually working lace like a recessive.
Okay.
I mean, I have it in most of my projects. But I want to work white lace and kind of act like that's a recessive.
No.
White lace clown, white lace xanthics. I don't know. I'm not working into ultramel. I work ultramel, but I don't know how it's going to do with ultramel. I don't see it benefiting ultramel much. But all the other dark projects are going to have lace in it.
Nice to meet you.
I thought that ultramelanistic into DG was kind of a bad idea.
That's exactly why
and it's not the shit on it, because the reality is I've not liked other things I've seen in certain projects until I see that third or fourth thing added to it. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm willing to talk about it a little bit more.
Right.
But at first, yeah, like, not that they all have to be bangers, but it just didn't really make sense to me. But we got to do everything once. You got to know.
Exactly.
And in 5 years, someone's going to make a hypo version of it. And I'm like, cool, I'm hooked again. Like, let's get into it. But right off the bat, I wasn't really like all about it. Like, I'll be honest, I hated the first Sunset DG. You could hardly even see it was even in the animal. I thought nothing of it. Now I'm kind of all about it.
I prefer Hypo D or Sunset, but
Me too.
DG Sunset.
And then some DG added in after. Because it does add another. Okay, that's fine.
No, I'm just.
Maybe I like zeros, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
There you go.
All right. So, you know, we like move around and find more conversation. More of a on the run. We're gonna try to find Chad Boots. I think there might be some Boots around here. There might be some like Bill Albright. I keep talking about these guys. All right, I gotta look motivated. Let's move a little bit. We'll haul them back out here. You guys, I'll catch you in a minute. Hey, well, we're back up. We're on the beach at 11. You need to work with me more in a little while. I'm bringing someone else out here. Oh, you want to get in this? Hey, come on in. Oh, I know what you're going to talk about.
No. He likes
It's a pleasure meeting you, sir.
Sure.
I love your shirt. I love
turn
your
over
shit.
pineapples. How you call them?
Turn over pineapples? This is a swinger thing?
Nothing wrong with that, right?
Oh, well, I'm not cool enough for it, but
Hey,
I just fuck with them with
check out
that.
the Bermuda
Swag.
swag. Check out the
I
Bermuda
just
swag.
fuck with them with that.
oh, I hope you
Yeah.
can see that.
Bermuda swag.
Hey, Daytona's all about the swag, buddy. You know, dress for success
This is
down
my
here.
dog, Magic City.
Magic City?
We're in the hot tub
We were in the hot tub last time we
Yeah,
talked.
bro.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
watched the podcast on the way out. I appreciate that.
Wait a minute. Condemning swingers and in the hot tub with him?
Well,
Wait a minute.
I did show up afterwards, but it was a little different. He was very respectful, though. Very respectful. We even took a picture afterwards. That was wonderful. I appreciate that. I'm going to keep moving a little bit more. I got to find somebody else. I'm coming back out. I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, so let's try to find an OG around here, man. He doesn't want his face on the camera. If not, I think we're talking ball pythons in a parking lot more, for all I know. Oh, shoot. Hey, buddy. Always going good, man. Doing a live podcast.
You're a live
Live podcast. I know.
Are there people on the internet right there?
I don't even know how many. I know there's one.
Can they even hear us though with how loud it is?
I'll be honest. I've been putting the phone really close to my face just in case not.
Okay. You're just giving them a tour?
Well, I guess I'm just talking to people. I didn't know that I had a game plan, and then I lost it. So
That's how it usually works out.
now you're my game plan partner.
Oh, okay.
Look over here. I've already put in my time on these guys, but oh man, you guys been fucking busting your ass, haven't you?
Yeah, we're a little tired.
Yeah.
We didn't know if we wanted to come down, but we're like, all right, we need to go socialize.
Oh man. You know I love cats.
Oh yeah.
I don't think people understand what goes into the labor of love of being artists,
No.
and I do believe that
Kind of
starving artists are.
yeah, the starving artist is
Yeah.
very good way to put it.
But let's see here. Let's see how we're gonna balance this shit out. I'm not gonna take all night for you, man. I just want a little taste of Chris.
Oh no,
Oh no, we're on a live podcast. Yeah. But yeah, we can use your umbrella. I need a backstop. I just need a backstop so I can lean it.
Are you really?
You
No,
going
the wind's
switchies?
gonna blow that thing down, dude.
Oh,
That wind is gonna take that thing away.
oh, appreciate you, bud.
No problem.
All right, let's sit down. So I want to talk about how much I appreciate Chris.
Oh, okay.
Well,
And they see us.
they can see us a little bit. No one needs to see us. Chris.
Yeah, we had a great trip together.
What? The one great trip?
The one great trip.
One great trip.
It wasn't actually a great trip. I mean, it was a great trip, but it wasn't a great trip.
Close.
I'm trying to get like a little lovey-dovey.
Yeah, get it real close, man. It's about this.
Yeah.
So we did have a great trip. I love that story. And I think that's gonna be our top out story.
I don't know if we can ever top it again.
Well,
It's definitely a top out story.
no, it was a special event. I mean, it's not like we're babbling idiots right now. This is even content. So we got lucky enough to find each other on the road to a show. We ended up at the same rest stop, and one of us needed help. And man, I am happy to help. It made the worst weekend of these guys' entire life. My car sucks, and the shocks are shit.
But we made it work. We made it work.
32 hours of no shocks in a trailer driving from Texas to
Yep.
Vegas and Vegas to
In a car full of animals.
full of animals.
Where we really didn't have any room for anybody, but we somehow made room for 4 people.
I was so happy they were there. I had the best time ever, man. But no,
It was
rough.
great. it was great. But now I look back on it, I'm like, that was such a good time. But when I was at the moment, it was miserable.
It was tough. It was tough on everybody. But yeah, so we did the Vegas show that weekend.
Yeah, the Vegas one, yeah.
Another cross country. So you guys, you guys are kind of keepers, but like, tell us what it is to be like an artist in this industry, because you guys are a team, and we always talk about that. And there's so much that goes into this. Like, give me a little day to day in the life of you guys being artists, professional artists.
Oh, tough question, but
be real with it.
I'm trying to think of how it actually starts. Usually, it's really, Addie, 90% of the time, it's getting back to messages. It's you're answering messages. You have nonstop people messaging, asking for this, asking for that. We're like, hey, go to the website. We cleaned it all on the website so you can see it all. They still want answers, so we, you don't realize. Well, I mean, you do realize it. You're selling snakes. You're talking to people is like 90% of the job. Yeah. And it's the same thing. So Addie was like, when we first started this, she's like, I'm going to be drawing all day, and it's like you're going to be talking to people all day.
Oh.
So it's a lot of back and forth. But then finally, she'll gets done with her commissions, and she's gotten really good at it lately, where she clocks in time and has it where, like, from 8 in the morning to so and so, I'm going to get back to messages and get back to this and do commission work, and then from noon on, it's going to be traditional work.
Oh.
Try to get a few hours in to draw, because you don't realize how hard it is to just sit down and draw when that's your main job.
No, and you guys do little fun things for your friends. You did that Blake artwork I really love.
Yeah,
the
that was pretty
Botfly. You've been nice enough to design me like 10 logos at this point. I use one of them, and I appreciate everything you guys do. You know what I see, like, when I look at like you guys making new pieces, it's like creating new content for the industry online in a sense. Because I mean, you know it as well as I do, like, you can't be an artist in this industry with 5 designs.
No, we've got 100. I think she's got 120 plus designs. She's originals that she's done, not including digital work.
No, of course.
So
that pace, do you think that is a genuine business plan, as in, and that isn't in a bad way, but if you're an artist looking in, just like anybody would have to set a standard for what they're going to do when it came to breeding animals or anything in the industry, if you want to be an artist to like get your feet wet, you can't be a 5 design guy. You can't be a 10 design guy, right?
I mean, you can. It depends on your style and what you're doing. But there's a lot of people doing it. There's so many people drawing, and a lot of people look at us and think, "Oh my God, they're doing great. I'm going to do the same thing." And we're like, "There's a lot that goes into this, man. We've been doing this for almost 5 years now, and it's just starting to get, to the point where we're making money. It's been a nonstop bill. It's paycheck to paycheck. It's life. It just takes a lot to invest into it. And if you're really good, if you are good and you commit to it, anyone can get by and do it. But nothing is instant success. And the biggest thing now is the hardest part of all of it, I think, is social media aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because it used to be very fluent. Like when we first started and we got on Instagram, we started posting time-lapse videos. We were getting 100, 200,000 views on videos.
Wow.
And we were like, this is awesome. This is so easy. And then overnight, it went to 600 views. We're like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
And then it was like, you need to advertise. Start advertising to get more followers. And we're like, hold up. Wait a minute. Something's not right here.
It gave you a taste.
Yeah, it gave us a taste for a little while, and then it took it away. And we've never been back to that. Now, if we're lucky, we'll get like 5,000 views, 6,000 views on a video.
So you guys do a Patreon. And
we just started a little while ago.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell me what you guys do for people in the Patreon. Like,
so we have several tiers. Eddie made it frog theme.
Okay.
And it goes from $1 to $100. And no one's bought the $100 one. Our highest is $20. And we don't have many followers yet. We got like 8 followers, maybe 20 followers. I don't really know exactly how much it is, but we have it where like she's starting to do tutorials, starting to teach like what she's doing and how she's doing it. And we've been posting like first reviews on that, like first reveals, like, instead of posting it on Instagram right away, we'll post it on that for a few weeks first, or, so that's like kind of how we're starting it. I'll be honest, I feel like we're really bad at it. It's a learning curve. It's not easy, and it feels like a second job on top of all of this, because you're selling something, so you feel guilty because people are paying you for this. So now you're like, it's got to be good. I don't want to offend them,
I think that's You know, because I'm always trying to understand what my brand can be. So,
Yeah.
like, I love these conversations because that's the same thought that goes in when I'm doing this kind of stuff. Like, because I do think Patreons are a great opportunity. I think it's a great opportunity for both ends, as long as the service is a good service.
It's
but
got to
you,
be
yeah.
something that someone wants to pay for.
But like you said, you might not know what your service is yet. Like, there
Yeah,
might
we
be,
don't know.
Yeah, so that's the hardest thing about this brand building is little things like that. It's not like make a Patreon page and talk to people, everything's good. Like, what are you really giving? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I respect that, and I'm sure there's gonna be changes you guys make. I know I love the live artwork videos. I love the fast time stuff. I think
Yeah.
that's such a good thing to have on there. I like you guys diversify a good bit, and I mean the product's great. I love the artwork. A lot of people
Appreciate
love
it.
the artwork.
Yeah. I mean, she works really hard at it. We all do. I mean, we both do.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes in the back end of it all. You know, she draws it, then we have to photograph it, or because all of her prints are really big, so you can't really scan them.
Yeah.
So you have to photograph them, then you have to color correct it, make sure it's right. Then you have to go through and cut it out, and then place it. You know, get the PNG, and then put it onto a white background or a blank background. So when it's print, everything is the same. Because if you just took a picture of it and put it up there, the color of the paper is going to print on the print. You know,
Yeah.
so there's like so much little crap in the back end that you don't think about.
I get that, and that's the problem, and that's some of those things that as a having a Patreon page, that's the advice that I see is worth knowing, worth paying for in a sense, and that's again you guys building your brand on there. How can you help? That's the way I look at Patreons. How can I help you?
Yeah. And we're still learning, so we need people to tell us what they want. You know,
don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask or ask questions. That's what we really like. Is like people ask certain things. Like, we're like, well, I never thought to explain that before. You know, what was it recently? We were doing a video. We started doing we're bad with TikTok. We never did TikTok before, and we started doing YouTube. And everyone's like, you should do TikTok instead. So we're like, okay, fine, we'll do TikTok. So we started doing TikTok lives, and you get a lot of traction on them. And I was doing, what the heck was I doing? I was doing something for Addie. Oh, I was filling her markers. I was filling because her markers are refillable, you know?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, how is he doing that? Wait, you said he's filling markers? She was like, I'll show you. And it went from her drawing to having like 13 people watching. And then to me filling markers, and they had like 60 people watching. And it's like, what do people want? You never know what's going to catch anyone's eye. And it was just me wearing my rubber gloves and my safety glasses because they're alcohol markers and it's splash and it's sticky. And I was like, I look like an idiot, but I'm sitting here just filling markers.
And
it was kind of funny.
Surviving, buddy.
Yeah,
surviving.
It is. You got to reuse them.
One marker at a time, right? No, I love that, but that just kind of shows you the devotion.
Yeah.
Like, what is really going into this? And okay, here's the thing. I know some of this sounds like, oh man, it's gonna be stressful, but like, you guys are part of the community, and you guys are a staple in the community. The donations at the U.S. ARC auctions, some of my favorite. Always up there, man. And you guys, ukulele this weekend?
It's a ukulele. And it's a Fender with a little Telecaster headstock, so I've been calling it an Addy caster.
Oh, I kind of love that. I love that.
I was like, anyone that knows instruments, I hope will appreciate it. But I have not talked to anyone that knows instruments yet. Every time I said it to someone, they're like, okay.
Jeremy?
I don't know if I've told him yet. No.
I talk to Jeremy. He's the only musician I know here.
Okay. Well, hopefully he'd appreciate it.
I think he will. We'll corner him after this at some point. All right, well, I respect that. Oh, but so what I was kind of getting at, and I was going to segue into, is just like, how lucky are we to be part of this community? And it's always about the good people you have around you. And I do think that the people that we put around each other, as in literally us, man, we got a great core.
We do, and it's kind of crazy how I mean, personally, I never started into this until 2000. I got in this 2014-ish, and a friend of mine was like, hey, you want to go to a reptile show? And I was like, no. He's like, dude, everyone gets drunk and has a great time. And I was, 26. So I was like, so, let's go. And next thing you know, I'm like, okay, this is actually really neat. And here I am, you know, 10 years later almost.
Best times I have a lot of good times in life, are usually industry related, whether it's the people or the animals or something in it. And that's like, I'm married to this. I've always said it. Like, I don't think I could do anything else. I've just put so much mental into this, and I never get bored.
Yeah.
Not hitting a burnout point. Have you guys ever teetered? How do you talk yourself off the edge? Realist?
Oh, that's a good question. There's been stuff. Well, because it's, we've done a lot of shows now. There was one year we did like 25 shows, and some of those shows you'll go to it and make $200.
Yeah.
And it's like, we just spent $1,000 to get here, and what do we do? So I don't have an answer for the burnout. Like, how do you get by it? I think you just kind of have to. We're kind of at a point where we've committed so much to this, where we just keep telling ourselves it's going to get better, and it has. It always has. Like I've always said too to Addie, like no matter how bad it gets, we always turn out okay. You know, we're gonna get out of it. It's not a big deal. So we always power through it. And lately, it's been paying off. We're getting bigger, and you know, it's any business. They always say it takes 5 years to become, you know, so successful in a sense. So we're getting to that 5-year point, and we're getting there.
Okay, and this is more just like business talk because I love this aspect of it. So is that the I'm gonna say this wrong. Is it Saint Augusta or Saint Augustine?
St. Augustine.
Saint Augustine.
St. Augustine.
I've said it wrong.
Which is the oldest city in the United States. I did not know that.
About that. I heard
Yeah.
the roads are really
Did you get to walk around the castle? Dude, the castle's there, and it's like made out of seashell.
Really?
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. I was like, okay, this is kind of neat. Not to sideball you here, but
no, you're not sideballing me because honestly, if you haven't been there, I think you should go there. I love the alligator.
we
park.
haven't been to it. We've donated to them. We've done tons of things for them, but we've never been to it. Yeah.
So I guess the reason I brought that up is they had a neat little print in the gift shop. Clearly, an independent artist made it. It had a Florida theme with some gators on it, and it was right there for people to buy. Now, I know you guys sell in pet stores, and you're getting you guys stuff out there. Pros and cons of putting your artwork out there for other shops to sell. Do you feel like the company needs the face, or do you think the artwork does it sell itself in the pet stores?
It depends. Like we have we have a few people that buy frequently from us at wholesale.
Yeah.
Sell in their stores, and they sell great. We have a lot of our stuff at Birds and Beasts Pet Shop, and it comes in bursts. Sometimes it'll be like weeks where we won't hear anything or won't sell anything, and then out of nowhere we'll get a call and say, "Hey guys, you need to restock this stuff," you know, or it's low on this, or but it's I don't know. It depends.
Well, how about this? Why not sit around and cold call pet stores all day? Why not put 1,000 in front of you?
That's actually we have a mile long list of pet stores, and that was our plan. Our plan was to start wholesaling and sending like little gift packages, just mailing them a gift package and be like, hey, here's like $100 worth of stuff, and if it sells, call us. You know, something like that. But we just haven't done it because we've been so busy with everything else. So we haven't gotten to the point where we thought wholesaling is the future, which it is. I think that's how we would probably. That's how everyone gets. You know, successful really is, you know, letting other people do the work for you.
So
you just get a smaller cut, but you're happy.
I get that. So, okay. So like I said, right now we're talking about like your business.
Yeah.
T-shirts at a show make no sense. They're bulky. You make a very small profit margin.
Everyone asks us, do you have T-shirts? Do you have this in a T-shirt? And like, we have 115 prints with us right now.
Yeah.
How would we put them all on shirts? Can you imagine that?
Agreed.
Now four or five different sizes of each one.
No.
It's not possible. If we had one universal, it'd be okay. But
I think what I'm getting at is, you know, where your content with your artwork is kind of geared towards the hobby, everybody loves animals.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you have these like very iconic animals, like any kind of turtle, chameleons, day geckos, like ones that are familiar. What if you could have your own little line of clothing that a big department store carry? Because I find a lot of times people would pick a T-shirt over a print.
Oh, they would, and we had that all the time because we started displaying our T-shirts and had a QR code saying online sales, and everyone goes, "I'll take that in a small," and we're like, "Oh, we have it online," and they go, "Oh, okay," and they walk away.
Product not in high-end.
Yep. If it's an impulse thing, you know, like they want it right there and then. If it's online, okay, I don't want to.
I guess concepts like I said, just Forever 21.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Love it.
We've never worked with a big chain.
But what does that take? Is it getting effed over in the process? Is it unpaid invoices?
A lot of it is kind of sketchy, big companies like that, because the other flaw is everything's made overseas.
Yeah.
You know, we don't really, everything we do, we try to do in the States. Like our prints are all made at a little shop near us. We don't, yeah, we got very fortunate and found a shop near us, and they love us, and they make all of our prints. Every print we get is made from a little place called Repro Graphics in Crystal Lake. And we got to the point where backing boards were really expensive, so we got them wholesale. We got backing boards we order them actually from Uline. Backing boards from them. And I'm sorry, I'm snowballing here. Where am I going with this?
The backing boards, just all the materials involved.
Oh, yeah.
The cost of doing it.
So it
You lost your train of thought.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. I'm sitting here trying to think where was I going with the story.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
How about this? So again, you guys are road warriors. We started out with talking about a random road trip that we connected to save each other.
Yeah.
What's one of your more memorable times on the road that just was one of those trips that there was something that made you happy? And then you can tell me sadness at first. I know you got a lot of sad ones.
They're all sad. There's a lot of sad ones, but they're all still pretty happy because they all had a good ending, you know. Utah, our trip to Utah was pretty neat.
Beautiful, right?
Addie's never seen Utah, never seen deserts, and she tells everyone, she's like, nothing will prepare me for the colors.
Yeah.
You know, like you see paintings, you see pictures, but nothing does it justice. So when we got to Utah, we stayed out there for a week, just cruising around the desert, and it was that was probably our favorite trip.
That's your horny toe trip?
Yeah. Yep.
Jealous.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I got
unreal. We the salt flats were flooded.
Yeah, we saw that.
And so we couldn't go on the salt flats, so we drove around the mountains. And I took the van. I got a picture of the van on a hill that's like this, and I just parked it there. I was like, I don't want to go up any higher here. This is getting kind of sketchy. So we got out, climbed up this like high peak, and there's a little bush, and they're just chilling in that bush.
Yeah.
They're just up there hanging out, and it was just the coolest thing. So
when we saw ours in Oklahoma, me and Mike Schultz were out. Like we're literally, it's like 5 o'clock. It's blazing hot at like 100 degrees. We're just going down these like gravel roads. And then we see this thing just kind of do the weirdest scurry you've ever seen across the road. And I was like, was that a mouse toad? Like, I was like, and then as it came out, I was like, and then I was like, could that have been a horny toad? So we jump out the car. I'm in the brush digging around, trying to find it. Never even got off the road. I went right to the edge and stopped. He walked right up to it, picked it up like it was nothing. It was so calm.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, okay, this is my life now. Yeah.
We never keep anything out of the water.
Yeah.
But man, we were holding that fucking thing. And we're like, man, we have to get ants for it. I was like,
yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard to take care of those things. That's why you don't see them in the trade, you know?
No, and I have seen some, but I don't know if there's ever been proper dieting. I think people try to use crickets and say it's okay, but that acids and everything from the ants, I think they need all that.
They need it's. I mean, think about it. It's how they evolved into what they are, you know?
And it's a fucking cool species. Yeah,
they're so neat. They're so neat. Like the little tiny ones. You find them and they're like this big.
I never found that small. I found a small one.
Man, they are literally like a centimeter. Just the tiniest freaking thing. Addie has like eyes of a hawk. I don't know how she finds these things. She just was finding them everywhere. I don't see it. Even the one that I don't know if she showed you the reference picture of the one sitting on a rock upright basking.
I feel like I saw the picture, but
we were driving down out of the mountain and she goes, just stop. So I pull over and she's like, I don't know if I saw it, but I think I just saw the flawless, most perfect reference photo of my life. She's like, you just back the van up. So I backed the van up and down this hill, there's a rock and this guy is just up on it with his head up basking. And she got out and got right up next to him, and he just kept side-eyeing us. Yeah. Like, and her phone was like this, up taking pictures of this thing, and he didn't care at all. Didn't care. And we just left them be, but we got the photos and just went away.
I do that with a lot of reptiles. Like, I don't have like that, I got to touch an impulse. You know, I don't.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that at all.
So a lot of times, I do want to get that most naturalistic look when I first get up before the animal panics. So, like, I think Coach Whip was my good one this year. So we found a Coach Whip. Cool. But here's the weird thing about it. So we get this Coach Whip, and I see this thing, and I get a picture of it immediately, and I take like as many as I can, and then it takes off. I dive and I get it. And now we're trying to like set it up or putting a hat on it, taking the hat off and shooting it away. All of a sudden, it stops moving, and it looks somewhat photogenic, but its head looked like it was like a little
funky,
a little weird, a little odd. So like I'm staring at it, and I'm like, I think this thing's playing dead. So I think Mike went up and put his hand underneath the chin and lifted it up, and it made a perfect telescope and stayed there for like 20 minutes, man.
Really?
They let us take every picture we wanted in the most perfect Coach Whip pose you've ever seen.
Wow,
so I think it's
dead. I'm dead. Yeah.
But it was worth it. It was
cool.
It was a bucket list species that when you see it for the first time, there's almost like disbelief what you're looking at. But I'm gonna let you get back, man.
All right.
I just wanted to taste it, Chris, and I'm gonna walk you back a little bit. And I'm gonna steal this guy.
Thank you for chatting with me.
Well, I love talking to you guys. And so your next big show is gonna be the
Dallas.
Southeast. Oh, you're on Dallas?
Yeah, we have Dallas, Southeast, and then one of Troy's shows over in North Carolina.
Okay, that's tight.
So we have a 3-week back-to-back weekend where we're just gone.
Yeah, the Planet Reptile Expo, man. I'm actually looking forward to that.
Are you gonna be there?
I'm gonna probably be there. Like I would like to be there. Troy invited me to come. I told him I'm probably gonna come. I just gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what scheduling is like. Anything that's more than 10 hours away, I just feel like I can't be willy nilly about it.
Very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. But here's what I'll say. I have a lot of faith in Troy's show being amazing. I think that
I heard another one was pretty awesome.
I heard Colorado was baller.
Yeah.
I heard the traffic was amazing. The vibe was good. Everybody was happy.
And we haven't done a new show in a while, so we're kind of excited about it.
No,
Seeing new people.
Charlotte is a unique market because there's never been a show in Charlotte. And I was talking to Troy like an idiot. I had regurgitated information someone else gave me that was wrong about counties, like Mecklenburg County. Well, I told him I didn't think we were allowed to have big animals with. Well, I failed him. I got them all scared for no reason. Probably ruined his weekend.
Well,
but I thought that's why there had never been a Charlotte show.
okay. Yeah,
So,
no, I don't know any of that stuff.
I don't know, actually, that's probably boring the fuck out of these guys. I'm gonna try to get Bill Albright's attention.
All right.
You do you,
Hopefully
man.
I didn't bore everybody.
No, we love you,
Love
buddy.
ya. Bye.
See you soon.
See you, dude.
Love you, man. But listen, you might take 10 minutes talk live. Come on, buddy. You're thirst of knowledge, buddy. You're like, I've been name dropping you all night.
I appreciate that.
Here's my feelings. Might have ruined the picture now. That Lisa? You're never too drunk for podcast. Oh my God, where? Room. I think I finger banged myself out of this thing.
Okay, good.
Or they're still listening to me right now and I can't see. It's hard to say.
Either way.
Oh,
Should be
man.
fun.
Oh God, dropping back in
All
again.
right, what are we doing?
I don't know. I hope there's somebody here. Am I here? Get
We
dropped.
can't see you.
I wonder if you can hear me though.
Blink twice if you can hear us.
It's actually better. They can't see your face.
Okay, they can't see me. It's
It
better
is
this way.
recording, so I think we're good.
All right, we are
Do me a
live.
favor, go on YouTube and see if you can hear us talking right now. Yeah, this is technical difficulties, but now we're going to talk to a guy on a. We're not even going to say what your name is, man. You want to talk about species on a black screen?
Sure, what are we talking about?
Well, I don't know. We're going to see if we could hear, but well, you know what?
Don't buy a water monitor. They poop too much.
Well, let's see. Well, you can always take them down to Northport, buddy.
Coming from a guy that breeds a lot of water monitors, it's probably not a good sales pitch.
You know what? Monitors. You want to talk to monitors?
Sure.
That's your passion, buddy. He's working this out. He's trying to figure out if we're live or not, or if I'm even on this thing.
It doesn't
But
matter. We're not even on the right broadcast.
well,
This is probably playing in the hotel somewhere.
he's fucking playing a hotel somewhere. I don't even know how the internet works. Like, I'll be honest with you. That's why we're here right now, failing miserably.
I can't even spell it.
I can't even send it to you. Go to Trap Talk Network. Oh man, should we just talk about monitors just in case people can hear us?
What are we talking about?
Well, how
They're
about
not
this?
enough. Bump up the heat.
Well, there's always heat related stuff. How about this? What monitor species got you going?
Water monitors.
Because they were cheap, or why'd you get them?
Nope. I like them. They're huge.
Hey, so it was a size
I
thing.
picked poorly.
Well, you didn't pick poorly. You went passion.
I couldn't get a Komodo, so I bought a water monitor.
Okay, still have them today, right? Oh no, that's where we
Komodos?
started. Not the Komodos. I meant the water draft.
You a cop?
No, not a cop.
No, yeah, we still breed
You
several.
guys ever do technology before?
Yeah.
No one's ever done technology before. I hope this is actually working. Okay, how about this? I feel like we're all sidetracked. It sounds like
Okay.
shit right now. I think we could be better than we're being right now.
Okay.
Pros and cons of being, okay, how about this? What was the first obstacle you ran into as a monitor breeder that you didn't expect to happen? Whether it's enclosures, dieting, like what was that first, like, man, I should have
Honestly,
known better.
We were joking about them not being hot enough, but the heat these animals require.
Okay, now, how do you determine the proper heat? When they start avoiding it completely? Okay, so that's always been your, I do that with almost all reptiles, to be honest with you. So you want to find that absolute peak. What was your sweet spot that you find in?
On the Asian water monitors, depending on the size of the enclosure and the ventilation, because these things are important.
Okay.
But if you're in a huge enclosure with plenty of ventilation, about 135 seems to be the sweet spot for a sub-adult to adult Asian water.
Okay, that's not bad.
If you set up several hot spots ranging from 100 degrees to 145 degrees, they usually pick the one that's in that 130, 135 range, and they'll sit there for an hour or so before they move.
Hey, so your temperature, like I said, your hot spot was just not as high as it should have been. Repercussions. Is it respiratory with that species?
With that, the respiratory is caused more by a lack of humidity. They
Okay.
just become lethargic. They don't eat as much. They just don't act right.
Okay.
You know, and it's hard for a non-reptile person to understand how they can look at a lizard and say, I don't know, he's just not acting right today.
Lethargic.
Yeah, just lethargic.
Your
Don't have the
dog's having
same,
a bad day. You notice when your
You know,
dog's having a
they
bad
just don't
day.
have like literally the same look in their eye. They're not as peppy. They're not flicking their tongue as much. And
Okay.
generally speaking, they're just not hot enough.
I respect that. What about dietary issues? Did you go in like kind of like failing, or did you know right off the bat
No, I
what to do?
failed miserably because,
Yeah.
David, when I started with these, that was 30 something years ago and the information was not available like it is now. So
Okay.
we had to rely on actual paper books that somebody wrote generally in some Southeast Asian language and it was translated to English.
Okay.
So it wasn't as easy as it is now.
So
You just, back then we were feeding primarily rodents, and that's just not good for them. It's bad for fatty liver disease.
no. Well, how about this? How long until we learned our lesson in the hobby? Like, was this something that went through like
I'd say in the last 15 years.
15 years?
Don't you think?
I think in the 15. Yeah, I think we pay more attention now.
Yes.
You know what I think it is? I think there's always a lot of people that do pay attention, but I think there's more people that just pay more attention. That's why there's people that are successful with Bolin's pythons now. That's why there's people that are successful with things that we said were unbreedable.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything other than Bolin's I ever think about, but that's that one that's like
turtle.
fly river turtle.
No one has ever actually produced those.
Now is
It's a
that
lie. Terrible lie.
oh, you wouldn't open the video on YouTube?
Dave, I'm enjoying our conversation.
Well, I'd have this conversation no matter what. It says it's recording, but it could be black screen. You do. I'll talk to you, man. We'll get together. Man, I hope this is working, but we might be failing our asses off right now.
Sorry, man.
I don't even know who's in charge of technical difficulties, but that's fine.
Oh, okay, good.
It kind of counts.
You said let's go see some friends.
I'm not. Well, you're my friend.
See others then.
No, there's nobody else. Here that way. No, this could literally just be us right now. Man, I really wish I knew if this. You know what? Let's take pause. Okay. Let me see if this works online, and if it doesn't work online, then I have to go get somebody to put me back in.
We can do this tomorrow, and I'm either bored or less intoxicated.
Tomorrow, I want to be more intoxicated. Dudes. Like I said, I have no idea if this is working.
David, I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
Because that was so long ago. Oh, I was a child, and there wasn't information available now. So I don't remember. I remember failing a couple of times.
Remember failing a couple of times?
Early 90s, where I lost a couple of Asian water monitor babies because I didn't know what I was doing with them.
All right.
And the information wasn't available like it is now.
Okay.
To me, there's no excuse to be a poor keeper now.
No, I don't think there is. So let's walk and talk for a second, just so, because someone's going to let me know if we're failing. Okay. And then as soon as it says we're not failing, we're going to flip it backwards so there's no face on the screen. Okay. And I do want to talk about this some more. We're going to keep talking about it now. We might. Oh, nice. Thank you. There he is.
It's all the bobbing and weaving I could do.
All the bobbing and weaving, buddy. So, man, I'm trying to think so back then when you got these Asian monitors in, what was the market like back then? Was this say buy it by the inch? Was it buy it by the pound?
No. If I'm remembering correctly, I think I got my first one when I was 16-ish, 15, 16. Okay. And I this is so long ago, but I think it was like $45.
Okay. And it's loud as shit in here. Might have been the worst idea ever to go back in here. So you don't remember for sure. How about this? Dennis is a nerd. Dennis could fix us. You're a smart man. See if I'm recording on YouTube right now, if I'm failing miserably. I kicked myself out. See if I'm podcasting right now. Let me know if I'm podcasting. I don't know if I'm podcasting. Trap Talk Network, maybe? It's probably live on his network right now, so it might be live shows. I need someone to tell me I'm not failing at my life right now.
The problem in my life is I don't have a live show.
Oh, go to Trap Talk Network. Kinda, I might be failing at. Oh wait, I'm back out. We're back out. We're out of here. Never mind, I'm in. Let's go. We're done. We're flipping this bitch. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna let him look at my body as we get back outside. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you, sir. technical with everything. We're gonna go sit over there and chill out. And that was nice of you to hold that door, because I would have done the same thing, except for that one time. All right, we're back. Holy shit. All right, so we're kind of covering like a lot of monitor shit here, and like I said, you've been doing this for a long time, so we're talking about how to fail and how not to fail, essentially. Learn the failures, then stay away from the failures. Give me like 3 things that you learn that you would pass on immediately. Like if someone's like, I want to invest with you, I love these monitors. What do you tell them before they even take a penny from you? Or you take a penny for them, let's say.
Your species.
Okay.
Spend several weeks researching different species of monitors before you jump.
Okay.
Because not everybody needs an Asian water monitor or a crocodile monitor.
No.
Size is a restraint.
Do you encourage like Ackies or some of the dwarf stuff?
Yes.
Everybody loves an Ackie, man. Like that.
They are my favorite. Okay, they're not. They are, in my opinion, the best small monitor because they have big lizard personality in a small hand, instead of being flighty like some of the other dwarf monitors are.
No, for sure. You find the red market's always been better than the yellow market with them? Why?
It makes no sense. I don't know. They are the same lizard.
Same lizard, and I feel like colors come in waves sometimes.
I've had red Ackies that were more yellow than my yellow Ackies. Out of good lots.
But I would have thought at some point there would be yellow Ackies selling for more than reds, because everything I always find is supply and demand.
There was a flip a few years ago.
Okay.
And yellows went up to where they were considerably more than reds for a very brief period of time. And I was selling baby yellows because we've been breeding both species since the 90s.
Yeah.
But we've been breeding both. And the 3 or 4 years ago, the yellows went up to where we were selling baby reds in that $300 range and baby yellows in the $500 range, because we only had one pair of yellows and people were wanting them more than they were wanting the reds. Okay, so it's usually sign accessibility. That's it. All right. We'd bring 60 baby reds somewhere and we'd only have 10 baby yellows. Now, these are all genuine questions. I know not a lot, but a little bit. So, do people breed the yellows and reds together? It's not a no-no. It's not like people are saying keep them pure in a way. Trying to keep locality specific or species specific, in that case, yes, people frown upon the mixing of the red and yellow. But there are so many crosses out there that let's face it. When was the last time anything legally came in from Australia? Long time. So they've been mudded up here. Never. You don't say never. Legally, never. So they've been mudded up for so long that I know there are still pretty specific lines that have been bred to stay red or yellow. But I think the majority of the ones in the country have mixed to some degree. Okay. We had an interesting conversation on hybrids one time. I think it was the Atlanta show. And one thing he said to me that was like, honestly, kind of like this, like, really genius thing is when we talked about like a Woma ball python hybrid and how to treat the eggs, because it's not going to be like you can be like a ball. It's going to be completely different. And, like, that was actually one thing, because I have a lot of reptile conversations. When you said that was something that never crossed my mind. I would have never put in consideration, and I don't know if many people would even look at it from that angle. Well, in the Woma ball cross, they only did a couple of clutches. I bought one of the first one that was available. I love hybrids. Yeah. Brian Frederick hatched one, and I bought it. Okay. And it was really cool. It died year before last. Yeah. It was hatched, I think, in 2004. So it lived a long lifespan, but it was sick its entire life. It had a chronic respiratory infection. It tested negative for everything, but had a chronic respiratory infection. And it's understandable. Where's the sweet spot? Yeah. Between an arid grassland snake and a snake that lives in a hole in the ground with high humidity all its life. So sure. it constantly would get a respiratory infection. So, and we're really jumping around on this, but, I had a lot of discussions early on in the Scaleless Ball Python project. Mm-hmm. And, of course, when people realized that it was going to be a TLC project, people were trying to figure out, well, how do we keep them so it's not? And I always say it's really hard to reinvent the way we're doing things. And how bad do people really want to work with that project if they have to change everything? Yeah. 2 clusters is how long I worked with it. Yeah, I did. I made 28 visuals one year. I did 2 clusters. Yeah, I checked them 3 times a day because you had to. I found ambient temperature was the best for that. Ambient kicked ass. I thought my sheds were very hit or miss. I got caught into that udder cream conversation. Made it worse. What it really is you just, again, it's 3 times a day, man, because you got to catch them during the shed. And it's not like it's a very low percentage of them have a good shed. And I have some that are like, I have a couple 7-year-old bastards at home that I still hold on to just because there's a nostalgia there, I guess. But like, I don't go out of my way to make them.
I wanted it to work out. I was a big scaleless corn snake fan.
Scaleless corn, scaleless Everglades and Texas. I'm into scaleless stuff, and they're zero maintenance. They're fine.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's nothing. I do nothing differently with them.
I really hate to say it, but like I think the picture of that big scaleless Burmese python and what the industry dealt with the ball python scales project, it kind of put a cloud over every scaleless. It really, because it was so okay. Yeah.
Right.
But the ball thing, again, I wanted it. And, you know, I remember, I don't know how in depth you were with that whole conversation back then, but even Will Banks, like, wrote up this whole thing, like, talking about the different lines that scales had and discussing just how we can do everything over again that we've already done, but now scale it. And I feel like with the ball python species, that's kind of always been the mindset. Let's do everything we've already done, but tweak it one little way.
The colors were so much crisper and
they were vibrant. They were beautiful, man.
But the juice wasn't worth the squeeze.
Well, here's the thing. I thought that I didn't want it to work. I mean, I was very understanding about the couple I sold and what went into it. But when I realized how much went into it, I realized this was a specialty project.
And the average person is not going to put in that kind of time.
The way I looked at it was every time I sold one, the person's probably maybe going to fail, and I'm probably going to replace it for free. Because first off, and this is an honest answer, if you sold one and you didn't make it right, and it turned into a big public ordeal, okay, and this again,
it's bad for the MORPH.
Bad for the MORPH. So I thought for that reason I'd replace, but then also don't take advantage of Dave, but there's a lot of times I'll replace something with simple mistakes or things that happen. I think that it's very refreshing for people when you do that because they don't expect that in the industry. You know, people remember the bad times, not the good times, and the bad buys, not the good buys. I want to remember the good buys. And you, again, you've always been an extremely reputable guy for that reason. Again, we're not naming you by name because I don't really. You don't need your name. We need the conversation. I like the content, but you know, I've never really been to a show where anybody's had a bad thing to say, and it's always been the way because, well, you're a stand-up guy, and you know, it's really a stupid thing, but like the oldest memory I have of you is a lesser ball python on your table for like $800 at a Florida show that was lighter than every other one in the building. You just bought from some lady, I think, and I didn't even like ball pythons that much, but that lesser was just the lightest lesser I ever see. One of the early animals I remember on your table. I'm really bad with names back then, but those are the early days, the Adam Chesla days.
Yeah.
I was rolling around with that one guy that lived out in like Greensboro area because I went through Skinny. I used to work with Skinny. And before that, I can't remember this guy's name. We're going to skip it because I can't remember his name. I feel bad. But
I'm trying to think of who it would be.
Well, yeah, and then a little help with Limey at the end, and then it was kind of went out and did it on my own at that point. But, you know, so we kind of grew up. Tim, it was Tim I was thinking about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Tim was another one of those guys that helped out for a long time in the Carolinas, and it was a learning experience. I enjoyed it, and it got me behind a table. Love being behind a table. Do you do much online sales, or are you a show whore?
I do. I enjoy the shows. I enjoy the face-to-face. I still enjoy the conversation.
Yeah.
I still enjoy most of the interaction with everybody.
I like the interaction.
I do. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I could do these shows and have a new conversation every time.
Got the website. We've got more. We do MORPH Market. We do still do fauna a little bit here and there.
Respect.
But the majority of it is, and we've got our company pages, stuff like that. But the majority of, but let's face it, the high-end stuff never goes anywhere. It gets brokered from one to another.
Yes.
It's a phone call. It never gets advertised.
Certainly.
But as far as the show type stuff, except for Daytona, and we brought some higher-end stuff here.
Yeah.
But most of it is done with a phone call on the higher-end stuff, and then the show type stuff, we do more of it at the shows than we do online.
I understand that. I used to be really stubborn about selling online, but now I've got to the point where I have so much, you can't really be stubborn about it. But first off, I'm great behind the table. You're great behind the table. You can be an honest salesman, is the way I like to put it. Not everything has to be dishonest, and it's not like I would even consider it a white lie. I like honesty, but not honesty to the point of scaring a customer away. You know, I always tell people when I break it down.
And some animals are not right for everyone.
No, and that's why I stay away from certain species. I have my passion things, and I keep on talking about eyelash vipers, even though I said I never keep venomous.
But they are fantastic. We bred those for decades.
I would love a bioactive with like 1.2s and just watch them. Yes, wait for babies kind of thing. I do the same thing with Amazon tree boas. I was gonna. But
we still breed those.
Still breed those? I love those, man.
First snake I ever intentionally reproduced.
Okay, that's pretty tight. Okay, so was that? Tell me about how long ago that was.
9 years old.
Okay.
And I wanted emerald tree boas, but they were still $300 or $400, and Amazon's were $12.
Okay, where were you living when this was?
In Northeast Atlanta.
Okay,
and
cool.
It was at like the Cobb Galleria or something. They had a bird and reptile show in North Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right when I was like 9 years old, and my mom took me, and I couldn't get them to spend the money on the emeralds, but she bought me 3 Amazons.
That's like, woo,
Yeah, for $40 for all
40
three of them.
bucks, right?
For all three. Yeah.
Okay, and so
they've always been one of my favorite species.
I respect that. You know, Amazon's, you know, kind of like you, I had an experience at my Buffalo pet store I used to go into that kind of like got me into the scene.
Well, in the morning too.
You have a nice night, bud. They had a little corner display in MARC's pet store in Buffalo, New York. And Ken Leach worked there. He was like one of my early mentors. He's the one who kind of like told me the ropes, how to conduct yourself at shows. Every weekend when he worked a shift, I would go into this fucking pet store. I was like 18 years old, and I would just listen. And I loved it. But corner display, 1.2 Amazon tree boas. They had babies every year. And every year I bought a different color phase till I had every one I wanted. But one thing with Amazons I found in the industry, very underutilized.
So underrated.
Yes, you know, they got overshadowed by the emeralds and the green tree pythons. It's like your high dollar arboreal python, arboreal boa.
Absolutely beautiful.
We have mutations now, nice ones. Line breeding, we're gonna learn what you can do with line breeding.
Polygenic stuff with Amazon.
Love the poly stuff. And I'm sure you do the same if you ever get imports in and there's a gravid female, you wait. Have you ever had anything funky?
We had a couple of like the leopard or tiger phase born, had a couple of hybrids born. So 30 years of buying hundreds of Amazon tree boas a year because I love them.
Yeah, of course.
Picking out, like if we buy 100 fresh off the boat from Guyana or Suriname, there may be one in there we keep.
Yeah.
You know, but we've had a couple of true calicos born out of wild caught females.
Okay, that's
So,
nice.
nice
Well,
stuff.
that's gonna happen anyways.
Yeah,
You always,
yeah.
So I mean, I've always had the obsession to get lucky because, you know, I follow a lot of garter snake guys, and these guys keep having, they're going on and getting a wild caught, they're bringing home, it's popping on
Something
mutation.
really cool pops out.
What the? Like, good for them. And I've been lucky enough to see one mutation in the wild, but I never thought I'd ever see anything in the wild personally.
I found when I first moved to South Carolina, and I was a garter snake guy when I was younger.
Yeah.
When I first moved to South Carolina, I'm walking my dog and found a big erytheristic female.
Okay.
I'd never seen one, didn't know what one was. Back in like 07.
There's still population out there.
Yes.
I know all about that.
We caught that female, took it and showed it to Ben Siegel and Scott Phelps. And they looked at it and they were like, they both tried to buy it. I was like, no, she's gravid, I'm keeping it.
Yeah.
And then she dropped 40 something babies. And I kept half and let half go at the house I was building right down the road.
Yeah.
And to this day, I still find Eries out there around the lake. And they're just beautiful, bright red, gorgeous. And I didn't even know it existed in 07.
How many years have you been doing Daytona?
We did the last two at the Towers,
Okay.
whatever year that was. And then I've skipped a couple of years here and there.
Here and there.
Since the last two at the Towers, was that 98, 99?
Yeah. I think
Something
it
like
was
Something like that.
late
Yeah.
90s. We weren't trading our rooms at that point still,
No.
right?
Yeah.
It was
no.
different. It was a setup show.
Yeah.
All right.
No, there were still some hotel room deals at the Towers.
Yeah.
Because I remember some of the coolest Pituophis morphs I ever bought. I bought out of somebody's hotel room the last year at the Towers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, for me, for Daytona, like, you know, I can't remember every animal I always see. But, you know, sometimes, like, over the years, there's just something you close your eyes and you see it. Baby Western blue-tongued skinks,
Yeah.
baby centurions, maybe in late 2000s.
Yeah.
What about for you, man? You ever have that, like, moment of, like, looking back?
I remember the first year the Borneo earless monitors came in.
Oh, yeah, I
And
remember that.
bought a couple of them. And they were really cool
Yeah.
for a few weeks. But they are more amphibian-ish
Yep.
in keeping than most monitors. And I'm not an amphibian guy. So I didn't
Wasn't fit for you.
appreciate them the way I thought I would. So
Yeah.
I had them for a short period of time and then sold them. But it was a memory. The first time I saw one in person, I was like, I bought it. I was like, I must have this.
So maybe too much information, but this was something that I think it was Borneo deforestation. They started tipping these trees up. They popped up in the
All
roots.
of a sudden, so many of these started being captive produced about the same time they were tearing down a forest in Borneo.
Felt that way, yeah.
And it seemed sketchy to me.
Yes, and I think there was a
And
lot
there are
of...
true captive borns now.
yeah.
They're truly being produced now.
And they're beautiful.
And they're
Those babies are adorable, man.
gorgeous. I saw some today at the show and I was like, oh yeah, those are
Did
cool.
you?
Yeah.
Where was that at?
I don't remember whose table they were at.
Was that on the front side of the building we're on?
They were in room 1 and they were in an ARS case with a bunch of sphagnum moss and some gravel.
Okay.
But I don't remember whose table I was
I'm
at.
going to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, but they had two of them on the table.
So that was one of those species too, like you said, it hit the scene.
There were some in room 2 against the back wall as well, because I think that would be good for Paul short things, because he does.
I'll go take
Yeah.
a look at that.
So I was like, we need to get some of these to send them over to Paul.
Oh, I like that. So I loved everything. First off, they look like dragons. And
Like a real
like
dragon.
they were so appealing, those blue eyes.
So cool.
I Tinley, I think I saw one time. Somebody was walking around with them, but I think that was one of those species that it just seemed like it came out of nowhere, which it did. I didn't think we'd be successful early on with it. It was kind of cool to see babies early on in that project. That was a surprise for me.
Yeah.
Did you see it going that way, or would you assume
I
one
did
of
not
those?
think we were going to be able to breed those. I thought they would be along the lines of the Cayman lizard. Yes.
Is there more inside that we can hit?
This is most certainly alcohol.
Is there more?
Don't worry, guys. Small pause. This is
Sorry,
the
we
full
apologize.
experience. This is what's like stand out here. People are gonna ask us about drinking. So we were talking just a little more about the Borneos, like you said, like people you thinking people could have been successful with them. Do you think they could ever be as mainstream as some of the other dwarf monitors, or do you think we'll never produce enough?
Well, I don't think it's that. I think that now that we know how to reproduce them, I think that there will be a steady supply. But they also may be very niche in care.
Yeah.
And I'm not fully aware of long-term care on those.
Sure, there's filtration
I'm
systems
sure,
you're going to need. I mean, I'm sure it's expensive.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be extensive water quality issues that we may run into that we don't know. I think there's just a lot we don't know yet. But again, I didn't follow that market.
No.
They didn't interest me as much as I thought they would, so I didn't put time into learning.
Spitballing with common sense here, pretty much.
There's probably so many people listening to your show that are professionals with Borneo earless monitors.
Professionals don't listen to my shows.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I like I said, it was definitely one of those like top 10 looking animals, I guess. Body structure,
They
everything.
don't look real.
They don't look
They
real.
look like somebody drew it.
Yeah, like
really cool.
it was different. I think a lot of people don't even think they're real. So
They're real. I've seen them. I've touched them. I've owned them.
I haven't touched one. Yeah, and I don't, like I said, it takes a lot for me to get interested. I've only really handled one animal this weekend, but I love everything, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So we talked hybrids, only a little bit. Hybridizing in the monitor community,
There's not that much out there.
like because it can happen or people don't do it.
No,
All right.
I don't know.
I'm not encouraging it by
No.
any means, but I am curious
Yeah.
because I'm a sick
But like,
son
I
of a
don't
bitch.
consider
you know?
a red Aki and a yellow Aki cross to be a hybrid.
No, I don't
It's more
believe
of an
that.
intergrade between two different color phases of the same animal.
I do agree with that.
So that I don't, in like different species, they're all Salvatore, but different locality specific water monitors,
Yeah.
they cross all the time. I mean, you'll have like stuff like those, the coming eye, which are the Philippine, they're not even a Salvatore anymore. But there's still, you see coming eye crosses to everything. I've got one on my table right now that's a Sumbawa water monitor across to a coming eye Philippine water monitor.
Okay.
And I think Kevin did that first. I think that's where these came from, Kevin.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But they're still water monitors.
You think like, no, you can like do no, I wouldn't consider it the wrong kind of hybrid, but ligers, these giant beasts
They're
of an
so
animal.
beautiful to look at.
Do you think there would be a monitor cross that could make a, oh my God, we just
Something
made a
with hybrid vigor?
superhuman giant monitor?
I don't know, because there were rumors of a water monitor cross out there years and years ago.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. They showed pictures of it. It was just a water monitor.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing Salvadori about it. Like it was water monitor.
Right.
So I don't know. The guy just kept them together and said that's what happened.
Croc monitors, flighty. I've seen some bites over the years.
They are just the worst non-lethal reptile bite I've ever seen was a crocodile monitor.
I've seen bad ones.
Yeah.
I remember the Tom one 2 years ago.
And
And
that wasn't even bad. That was just a little. I mean, it was bad if you were Tom because it was his hand.
yeah, it was his head.
I've seen some truly bad, but I've also seen some truly bad Cyclura bites, and I've seen some truly bad Tegu bites.
So is that you as a keeper understanding the body language of your animal to know that's
little
going to
bit.
happen, or is it like
No, a lot.
they catch you off guard?
Like, generally speaking, you knew it was coming, and you just ignored it because you were trying. I don't want to speak disrespectfully about anyone that owns any type of animal. That's not my goal.
We don't do that either.
We constantly, as human beings, try to make reptiles into mammals, and they're
Okay.
not. It's not a dog. It doesn't. Your water monitor doesn't want you to come scratch it and throw it a ball. It
Oh.
wants to be left alone. It wants to be fed. It tolerates us.
Yeah.
It tolerates our interaction. So you need to, and I think people just, you can look at one and see that it's unhappy, and then somebody's still trying to pet it,
Yeah.
and that's when things generally go wrong.
So I think that was a very real comment for the industry. And I mean that in a sense of like, again, when you go to these shows, and again, us being show guys, it's a family event.
Exactly.
And sometimes people come over and they were they'll show interest in something. It's up to you to say, well, what do you want out of a pet?
What did you want this animal to do for you? And then I'll direct you towards the group of animals that are better for that situation.
Always been the same way. That animal's always going to sell. It doesn't have to be you.
No.
I don't have to make that sale.
But I've always been into tropical fish and venomous snakes and crocodilian.
Yeah.
So some things don't need to be touched.
No.
to be appreciated.
And you're a koi guy. So Junior, when we did from JMG, we did a podcast, and he said one thing that I really loved. He was talking about how wet behind the ears are we in reptile breeding, considering the over 100 years that went into line breeding koi.
Exactly.
How much do you focus on the koi market, or just anything koi?
A decent amount, but I don't sell any koi. I just buy them for me.
Okay.
So I'm trying to stay blissfully ignorant to the business side of the koi industry. And it's impossible because I've got friends who have koi companies and they know that I'm a reptile guy. So there's business information going around. But I try and stay more, that's a hobby for me. I just want to relax and feed my fish and enjoy my fish.
Respect.
You know, try and keep my fly river from biting their fins.
All right. So we that's where we got interrupted earlier. We talked about breeding fly rivers and that not being successful. What do you think it is? Because I do believe that if we paid attention to the environment they're in, there's always going to be a trick. You have any like suspicions?
I really do.
Okay. Can you talk about it, or is this like top secret?
I'll talk to you about it off the air.
Off the air?
I've got some thoughts, and one day I may try and do it.
Okay.
A long time ago, I found a paper that was written about pig-nosed turtle reproduction in the wild.
Okay.
And it was written in Thai, and I had it translated to English. But again, this was 20-something years ago.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult because it was translated roughly. And it was written in a language that didn't translate well through 2 other languages.
Yeah, okay.
But there were some very interesting points brought up that I would like to. I discussed it with a couple of the guys from ZoomEd because they've got, apparently, if the rumor I heard was right, they've got like 27 adults they've been trying to breed for quite some time. Now, it just may all be hearsay. But yeah, I don't know if that's true or somebody was just pulling my leg about it, but I was told they've been trying.
We play telephone in this industry a lot.
Right. And if the guys from ZoomEd have not been successful, then there's no way I'm going to be successful.
Okay.
They're smarter than I am.
I look at it that way too sometimes. You know,
it doesn't mean I won't try.
Oh yeah, because we're stubborn.
Because I might get lucky.
Yeah, and you might get lucky.
Yeah. But there were some, and it did have to do with water quality and diet.
I thought it might have a little do, maybe like seasonal changes that they'd expect in the wild that their body triggers them to, like any other breed.
There were a whole lot of videos of people hatching fly river turtle eggs.
Yeah.
There's never a picture of anybody's fly river turtle egg them.
True. So, again, because, a fly river, again, it's an iconic animal in the hobby. Cool. Love it. It's the closest you get to a sea turtle.
I've got a male that I've had for 25, 26 years.
Yeah.
And he lives outside of the koi pond during the summertime and indoors during the winter. But I tried to pair him up with 2 big females over the years, and it did not go well.
Okay.
They were very aggressive towards him.
Interesting. That was a species too. I saw a video one time. It was like a guy's pond in his backyard, and he had albinos, leucistics, and normals all in there. That was beautiful. It
was really beautiful.
Yeah, like it was crazy to see that. And, it's so tough being in this hobby because, I understand restrictions on keeping certain things. You can jump in the conversation if you want. We're not using names, though.
I was just being annoying right over there.
Oh, you're good, bud. Oops. Come back and talk rainbow bows in a minute. Just kind of go back to that species, man. It's just, if you could put one, I don't know if the goal is a pet store for a lot of things, you know what I mean? And, I kind of what I was going to get at, lose my train of thought, was it's not I'm greedy, but I find it sad when animals like, Australian species, let's say, animals that are prevalent, skinks, 20,000 are getting killed on the roads there every year. Like they're just everywhere. Maybe it's greed, and it's not even financial greed. I'm sad not to work with some of these species.
And if they would let a couple of legal CITES come out, there would be no need to smuggle.
Exactly.
And there's plenty of them there getting hit by cars.
I agree with you.
It's not a lack of population.
And I feel the pet sector compared to just like, I love that. Oh, you get 5 more minutes, and then you can have them completely.
He was just looking at me like he didn't know what I was doing. And I'm like, guys, I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what I'm doing either.
Barely, just barely.
Trying to think of a wrap-up question, because I want you to get back. I feel bad that I'm glad you gave me time, because I've always wanted to have these conversations. I know a lot of people don't want to do this.
This is only the second one of these I've ever done.
Oh, okay. Well, that's saying I wouldn't even count this one. We would do a better one if we had another opportunity. I'd plan a little bit better. I feel like I'm scatterbrained right now.
As good as I get.
Oh, is it really? Well, that's because it's because of me, man. I'm bringing out the best in you right now.
You do that. It's the beard.
It's the beard. It's beard. Yeah, it's power beard, buddy. Power beard.
And if I could grow one, I would.
Oh, that looks good too, man. You look sick, though. It's a good looking look. Well, hey, man, if everyone could do it, I would look as cool. But what's your next species? Because Yeah.
I went back to emeralds this year. I've been out of emeralds for a long time, and I picked
Okay.
up some emeralds 2 years ago and paired them this year, so I went back to that.
Did you hear that? No, this was a talk of the town. And I brought this up multiple times. Like Ron St. Pierre talking about feeding fruit to your rodents, but for feeding them to your emeralds. Did you hear about that?
I have heard that in the past because if you look at where certain animals come from, their prey items eat a certain amount of this type of fruit.
Okay.
Some's really high in sugar, some's really high in protein, and I think that does play on the predator that's eating the prey. What the prey eats has something to do with it.
If let's say the rodent was eating more fruits, that means there would probably be a higher
sugar.
What? I don't know enough about digestive. How would that help though?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But it would have to. There would have to be secondary absorption, right?
And
sugar's there.
I'm going to talk to Ron about this because I haven't had the opportunity. I've been talking skinks with him nonstop recently because what him and Heather are doing down there, I love it.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah,
they're both geniuses.
Yes.
I think they're
way above my intelligence level.
They're a team.
Yeah,
and I like a good team in the house.
I enjoy talking. I only get to see them once a year now. Here, there's no place to say that.
You can jump in a minute, buddy, if you want to talk. You guys wait 2 minutes though. Go find me some Chad Fucks. You know Chad Fucks? Poops? Find a guy with a big wooden dick hanging out of his pants. Yeah, so let me get back on track with that. Bring me back. I talked about dicks. I lost my train of thought.
What? I know. What we're talking about? We're talking about how much more intelligent Ron and Heather are than I am.
Yes. Okay. So we're talking about the intelligence. We're talking about the emerald tree boas. Okay. So
diet, sugar absorption, that kind of stuff.
So here's the questions I had. I love the thought process, but my first question would be, how broken down was the rat when it got regurgitated? Because is it the stomach content once it gets into the digestive tract of the reptile that's making it regurgitate?
Or is it some bacteria they harbor that only comes out when they get stressed?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's
emerald regurg has been a problem since the 80s and 90s when I started with it.
I've always heard of the regurgitation
as much anymore. Have you noticed that?
No.
When I was a child, almost every emerald that came in would regurgitate as a death sentence.
Okay.
But then we started bringing stuff in out of Guyana over the last 10 years. And maybe 2 out of 200 emeralds that regurgitate on me.
So hard to your region, maybe.
Maybe
they adapt a little bit
better at the farm. Maybe they're traveling around in a backpack less time.
So that is one thing.
Maybe the care in the other country is better than it used to be.
Yeah. That is a downside because, even like I talk fat tails a lot. And, when fat tails are collected, sometimes they're going to be kept in a bucket for a little while and then eventually they're going to leave the country.
Not treated as good before they get here as they should be.
And it's unfortunate.
That's a cool species.
So we can't control their countries.
No.
We can only control what we do with them when we get them here. And,
we can control who we buy from, though.
Yes, you can. You shouldn't encourage the wrong people to get from. And here's the thing.
The cheapest animal is not necessarily the best value.
But you got to learn the hard way sometimes. And that's what people in this hobby do, unfortunately.
100%.
But saying goodbye, so I think we're going to move on. You have a nice night, sir.
I'll see you in one.
Well, how about this? Because we don't do names, because this is my mystery. Okay. I want to do this again. I want to talk a little more about that regurg thing. I just like talking about the technical end. But you enjoy your night. I'm going to go find some Chad Fuchs. I'll see you by your table, so I want to look at that stuff. Catch you, man. All right, so now we're on the move. I'm going to try to find something a little goofy to finish. I know we got some Chad around here. Let me see. Have you guys seen Chad Fuchs?
Yeah, he twisted my nipple. He was in the front pocket.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear, man. That's what I needed to hear. Okay, so we're going to go find Fuchs. Now, sorry, I'm on a podcast. I sound like an idiot right now, by the way. Yeah, so embarrassing for me. Let's see. Chad Fuchs. I know this is like bad air, guys, but I promise you, everybody likes a good Chad story, if there's a Chad. If there's not a Chad, there might be a Brock Wagner for all I know. But we're going to do a quick little lap. But no, guys, I appreciate you if you kept tuning in on this. I didn't even know what the fuck this was going to be. We've tried this a little bit in the past, and I've enjoyed it. But I definitely went into this a little bit unprepared, and I do feel a little bit bad about that. So like I said, I think we're going to find a couple more good conversations. Hey, Rob, you want to come be my friend for a minute? I'm live. You know what? I've always wanted to do a podcast with you, actually. Why don't I finish up with Rob? You want to do 20 minutes with me? Let's do it. All right, so we'll small talk as we go out. But so here's the thing. I always like to intro with this. First off, Rob, I love you. You know why I love you? Because I will wear crazy bathing suits with you. Crazy bathing suits do go a long way, though. I got 20 minutes, buddy. You want 2 hours or less out of me? 20 minutes. I'm wrapping her up. So back in the day, when I used to go to the Sunday night, This is all part of the process, guys. Real hellos and real goodbyes on the way. You can have them back in 20. So I guess what I was going to say was this. So back in the day when I used to go to the White Plains show, we all know that you gave me a cupcake.
Yes.
And it's such a simple gesture, but I think what I loved about that gesture the most is all the cool guys you gave a cupcake to, and somehow I was included in that group.
Hell yeah.
Because when you went to the shows, I was really nobody, in my opinion. You know, we always had good conversations, short sometimes, but like I've been posted up here because I can lean on this pole.
Yeah.
But you know, we had conversations, but you were just very nice, and you treated me as if I was somebody, and as a nobody. Back then, that little got helped me go a little bit. And honestly, like I said, it's just I'm always the same as you. I go to the shows and I'm giving people shit, man. I'm always thinking about it beforehand. Like I said, I always really appreciate that gesture. I'll be straight with you. And you know what the sad thing is, like doing the podcast thing for like 5 years now, off and on. And look at this, another. Costco, if you're gonna sit in, buddy, we're live for 20 more minutes, buddy.
Okay, we're getting some ice cream before they close.
Ice cream, go get dressed.
Cold Stone is like right over there.
I know, that's where we're going.
Hell yeah. I think that would be it.
So I guess I slop and knob enough, you know. But you know, here's the thing, like, you know, I love you in the podcasting scene. I love the podcasting scene, buddy. Like you know what, the way I think I used to put it this way, it was a selfish way for me to get people that I didn't think would want to talk to me
Talk to
to
you.
talk
Hell
to
yeah.
me. You know, the first time that Bob Applegate agreed to do one with me, that one felt good. You know what the really sad thing about Bob is, like, so Bob invited me out to his house to hang out for a few days, have some beers, and go herping in April. Not this past April, the April before that. And time, buddy, I never make time to do anything like that. And you know, age aside, when Bob Applegate invites you to his house for a couple of beers and herping, you fucking find a way.
You gotta do it.
I'm so embarrassed I didn't find a way. And that really sucks about the hobby. But why did you get podcasting, man? Like, what was that like? What got you there?
So, Jeremy honestly was the reason why I started podcasting. I listen to podcasts a lot because at the time when I was working at Nerd, I was working an overnight job too, and it was kind of like a brain dead kind of job where I was working at a grocery store, so just bringing things to the front of the shelves, making the store look nice. So it's mind-numbing work. It's so boring, and so I would listen to podcasts to keep my mind doing something while I'm doing boring stuff. And so I got really deep into listening to podcasts. And then when Jeremy started at Nerd, he was like, hey, man, like I used to do a podcast with Stephen Tillis a long time ago, and I kind of want to like redo it. Would you want to do it with me?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I enjoy picking people's brains when it comes to reptiles like you. And so, you know, you hear people talk to certain guests and you think, oh, man, I want to ask them about this. Oh, I want to ask them about this. And since not everyone's brain works the same way, it's like sometimes they ask your question, sometimes they don't. And you leave yourself like, oh, man, I wish I had known, like, I wish they had thought to ask this question, or I wish I had the opportunity to talk to that person and ask that question. And so I basically was like, yes, so that I can ask people questions and learn more things about them, because I think that's one of the most interesting things about podcasting is you can kind of probe people for like information that might not come up otherwise. You know?
Yeah. Well, I understand. I absolutely love the way you said that, because I could give the exact same answer. It's so I don't know if you've ever listened to any of my stuff. You don't have to, but sometimes I bring up the fact that I don't listen to other content. But I don't do that because I'm an asshole. I do that because I think it will affect the original conversation I'll have with these guys that I want to have an original conversation with. And I would like to believe sometimes that my interest or thought process will be different from someone else, and I don't want it to affect my questions. Do you write down questions beforehand, or you wing it?
No, I wing it. I wing it. Every single one I wing. I'll say that I like that you can kind of have your own way of looking at things, because just having known you for so long, you have a very unique way of looking at the world. And I don't think that most people kind of look at things the same way that you do. So you have interesting, thought process for questions. So when if I have someone on my podcast who I know has been on another podcast, I usually try and listen to them, see if there's anything, like I was saying, that pops up in my mind that I'm like, oh, that person didn't ask them about this, so I want to ask them about that. And I can maybe reference that they were on that show or whatever, but I usually will be like, okay, they didn't ask them about this thing. I know that they work with this species. Let me talk to them about that, because it's information that might not have been reported on a different podcast.
Yeah, I think sometimes too, like, here's the thing, I don't think everyone can be good.
Oh
I
no.
know a lot of people are doing that. And you know, I think the original questions you ask people, you're asking them because you want to know. Like, again, these are opportunities for us to corner people that we always wanted to talk to and have a real conversation with them. So, like, I think that probably makes for the best. And, I think, I don't know, man, I'm really scared about being good at things sometimes. And, like, where I do think that sometimes there's really good flow on these podcasts, I really get scared. And there's a truth there. Like, even like, I love wearing silly stuff, but sometimes it takes me a little courage to get out of my room sometimes and wearing something silly in a show. It's something that makes me happy and just takes that one smile there, that one laughter. But, being true to your brand too. Like, you kind of have to design your own brand. And I don't even know what it is. I know I'm a little inappropriate. I'm going to say some shit you don't say sometimes. Just a tad bit. But I think I'm not going to say in a good-hearted way sometimes. Sometimes I go for the jugular. But, no, I don't know, man. And this is probably maybe not the right way of looking at it, but I feel because I'm so good to people, there's a little bit of wiggle room for me to be bad sometimes. And I would like to think that if somebody hears me say something that sounds really awful, it's probably not super true. But I've always found that, there's a time and a place for jokes, but my sense of humor is disgusting. Like, I am just the way I am, but like, how do I that balance, because you put your personality in what you do. And it's not like you let it completely control what you're doing, but you're trying to get that little bit of you in there, because it's not about you, man. It's about the guest. Like, you're there to kind of keep the conversation going. And that's, I think, let's talk group talk on these, because I found this to be very difficult. So did you watch the one I did with Matt and Elisha?
I haven't seen it.
All right, so we did the blood one. And by the way, I like the idea of finding like two people in an area that are experts in a sense, and then having them as your guide. Maybe bring one more in. But when I did that podcast with them, and I even brought it up at the end, I felt they were waiting for me to engage them, and it was only, you ask me, now you ask me, now you ask me. It's very hard to have a group talk on a podcast when they expect you to guide. And what I mean by that is, we did the one the other night with Chad Holker, Bob Vu, and William at RCR, and that was talk. That wasn't like, hey, Dave, what's our topic? It was, we talk about this, and boom, we're talking about that, and boom, we're talking about that, and you're not waiting on me, and I'm not waiting on you, and sometimes I'm sitting back and not doing anything. I don't know if it's more about the people or me managing those conversations in a way where it creates more of a group conversation, And I think that's another thing that's difficult for podcasting.
Yeah. I think it comes down to group. When you're talking about like group, like dynamics like that, I think it does come down a lot to the dynamic because like Bob, you, Chad Holger, you guys like.
You got a way about us.
You guys got a way about you. You all kind of mesh. You know that you mesh. You've been in person together a whole bunch, and
we all know the inside joke.
Exactly. And so I think that comes across too when you get situations like that where you're like when we had Trace Carden on our podcast. I know Trace for a bazillion years, and whenever we get together and talk, it's always just like, oh man, we're gonna talk about bugs and talk about this and talk about herping and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And we already built up that rapport. It's so easy to just have that fluid conversation. Yeah. Whereas other people, even if they might be from the same area, they might not talk as regularly, or I think a lot of people, when it comes to being on a podcast, they're nervous that they are going to say something wrong, or that they're going to misstep somehow, and they kind of get in their own head, which is like anytime you step out of your comfort zone, you're doing something that you haven't done before, it's easy for that to happen.
Yeah.
And so I think for us as hosts, it's important for us to be able to kind of read that and then to be able to guide people and push them in the right direction. Sometimes you get podcasts that are a little bit slower. Sometimes you get ones that, 2 hours happens in a minute. And, just kind of how it rolls sometimes.
Yeah, I felt that was that way like the early days of doing the Herp House Rock with Ryan and Benjamin. Like, you get some guys on, man, and that would flow. You'd be 3 hours and 15 minutes in, and I was like,
okay, we gotta call this.
Maybe, well, and me, I always say we peaked. Let's call it. And there's a truth there. You got to read the room. Yeah. If it looks like it's over, don't force it a little further. Like, even if it's shorter than you want it to be, the last thing people remember is 10 minutes of just lag time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just not feeling it. So, you have your species, and I remember your days in Maine with the pet store. I remember your time with Nerd. I know you're captain in the Carolinas right now. Like, you're a journeyman in the hobby in a sense. You're like me. Like we're hobbyists. We're never gonna be able to get out of this. This is just us.
Yeah, it's my life. Yeah.
Where are you now with what you're doing that you want it to improve on in a sense? Like in the podcast and the species, is there a species that you think might be your breaker? Is there a avenue you think you're going to go down with this that you need to for the next step? It's a big question, man, and we ask ourselves every day.
Yeah, but that's what I've been gearing up for the last couple of years. Is that since I was little, I've always wanted to work with venomous snakes. And living in New England, you're not legally allowed to do that. And so I went through the avenues that I could to be able to gain experience and do that. And luckily enough, when I was my time at Nerd, I was able to get on their permit. They're like one of the only places in the state of New Hampshire that has a permit to work with venomous reptiles. And so I was able to get on the permit to work with their things. Everything's in order so that everything's legit, by the book, blah, blah, blah. And I moved down to North Carolina so that I could pursue that further. And so for me, the next step is taking that step into working with venomous snakes. And it's something I've always wanted to do. I feel like it's important for people to have role models when it comes to venomous that are not just look at Cobra and stuff. And so I kind of want to do videos along with keeping to showcase people that they can still be interesting without having it be a deadly, dangerous scenario every single time.
So the educational side over the reproducing, or a little bit of both?
I love education, honestly. If my mother and I had an educational business where we did programs at schools, summer camps, we did the Boston Public Library system 2 or 3 times. I've done thousands and thousands of programs in my life. And that's my main passion. I love doing educational programs and being able to educate people about reptiles. That if there's anything that I was born to do, it was that. I have, when you see me with people, even if they're people who don't know a whole lot about reptiles, I can get them locked in right away. And it doesn't have to be something, a lot of people think that because of YouTube and TikTok and all this stuff, it's got to be, it's going to bite you, it's going to jump, blah, blah, blah. But I think that for me, it's more important to reframe how people think about reptiles, because a lot of it is just pure misconception.
Yeah.
And for me, it's really important to change people's minds when it comes to that. So I think that it's always been like the overarching theme for like my life when it's come to reptiles. And then in this next step, I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that.
I respect that. I love educating. I've never sat in a educational setting, but you think when you're at a show, you're educating people.
Oh yeah, 100%.
One of the biggest things I like talking about is such a simple thing, but it's reading the body language of your species. And, I think if, I understand now how not to get bit, because I can read a body language. Because that I hardly get bit.
Me too.
And when I do, I scream like a bitch.
Yeah. Every single time I'm like, that was okay. It was fine.
60-gram ball python shoots 2 feet in the air. I'm yanking my hand back. I think it's life-sending for me. I can't do it. I'm a real wussy about it. But, I guess, like I said, the body language thing. Like, I love I fucking love it all about the hobby, man. Like, I love every angle of it. I love everybody's little grinds, but like, this might be a rude thing to say towards myself. I don't know if you put me in a room full of kids to educate. You know what I mean?
That's okay. Here's the deal. If you are measuring how athletic a fish is by how well it climbs a tree, you're going to think that they are the most lazy, horrible creatures.
Yeah.
But you put them in their element in where they're supposed to be, and they shine. If you are, certain people are geared towards educating children. You think about like Emily from Snake Discovery. I cannot tell you how many hundreds of kids would come through Nerd and they'd be like, "You guys have any bull snakes? I watch Emily from Snake Discovery and she's got Pituopus." And I'm like, "You know what a Pituopus is? You're 6 years old." And she's really great at that, and she's amazing at that, and that's her lane. Now you take her and then you try to show her to someone who's like really into somebody like Tyler Nolan or any of those guys, and it's going to be completely different. It's just not going to land because it's not the same thing,
Being true to your brand.
Exactly.
She's true to her brand.
Yeah.
She doesn't put on a personality any different at any time. She's just being her. And I will say, and again, this is something I've repeated before, but hey, podcast to repeat myself. It's all recorded. But we all grew up watching Steve Irwin jumping on alligators.
Absolutely.
The sensationalist, the screaming, the getting bit in the neck, like I'm not surprised that every YouTuber in reptiles is a small degree of Steve Irwin in a way when it comes to the theatrical side of it. You know what I mean? The oohs and the ahs and the wows. Um, I hate to think that's the only way to be successful in something is to mimic someone else's business plan. I do think if you're true, you know what I mean? Like I keep going back to that, but being true, because again, this is a selfish conversation on my part. But I'm trying to build the idea of what a brand is. Like I don't know what it is. I love this, and it's not even so much from a financial standpoint, but finances are nice every once in a while. I gotta decide if I'm gonna do this or not do this, man. Like I know I enjoy the podcast. I do think that I have ideas. I want to believe that my ideas are different than other people's ideas, but it's a very busy space. So like, you know, you gotta have a high expectation. Ugh, wow, I just choked my own saliva. Yeah, I'm right for this space. Yeah, you gotta have a drive and expectation. Like I like you and Jeremy. If I'm the good guy, like I told Chad, when Chad's not a firefighter anymore, he wants to come on a podcast every week and talk species with me. I think me and Chad would be great.
Yeah, you guys got great chemistry.
It's a good chemistry, and I think that's one thing too in this hobby because I do know podcasters go through partners in this hobby. I've seen them come and go. I've heard about it. You bounce around and work on a lot of people's channels. Are you like, this is my channel? I want you to come to me.
I usually seek out people to be guests on our show. I've had a couple people reach out to me to be on, but usually I have someone in mind. Me and Jeremy have a list of people who are like, oh, these are people who we really want to get on. We really want to talk about things, and it's been tough because of my work schedule and Jeremy's travel and music and his schedule for us to buckle down and do that. But I think most of all, we look at it kind of like a hobby. So we're just like, if we get the opportunity to talk to someone like Ron St. Pierre, we're like over the moon, and being able to have conversations like that to just charge your brain up and put you on a different track.
Ron St. Pierre was one of my I think I made it moments.
Yes.
And the reason I say that too is when I hit him up to do a podcast for Herp House, he's like, "Oh yeah, I already watched your stuff. I'd love it." I'm all like, bum, 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 bum. I was like, well, it's just like because with Herp House Rock, I didn't advertise.
Yeah.
I did 50 episodes. I never told anybody about it. And every once in a while, I post one episode on Facebook letting people know it existed. But like, I don't know why I didn't. I just wanted people to naturally find it. And like every once in a while, I'll pop on and see what kind of views they're going on. And Vin Russo, man, Vin Russo's always top of the game. Vin always gets a lot of views. Any podcast network I've ever been on, Vin gets the views, man. Like Vin's good for 1,200 to 1,500 people per episode easily. And why is that though? Like, why are people? I didn't realize. I understand he has a big background, but like, are that many people googling Vin Russo that content got 5 times the amount of view than anybody else? Like, what do you think that's about? Like, because he's kind of low key in a sense.
I think he is low key, but he is one of the OG guys, the OG people who has kept up with social media because he does have a social media presence and he works with such like niche things that like when people think of like locality boas or like blood boas or this, Vin Russo is the name that comes to mind for like pretty much everybody. And don't get me wrong, there are lots of people who are doing boas now who have made a name for themselves. But Vin has been that pillar for so long that he's got so much information that people are still learning things from him, even if he's been on a bunch of different podcasts.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I know his bonsai background, which we all know. Musician. I understand. Maybe I underestimated him because there have been some people too that I thought were pretty mainstream that I was having conversations with. I thought went well that got no love. But Vin was that one. The first time I looked at how many views he got, I was like, I can't believe that many people watch this. Like, I was blown away. But Vin was a fanboy too. Like I told Trey when I got him on there, man, I was like, honestly, I've always wanted this. Like, this is a great conversation. I got Vin this Thursday actually. I'm doing RGI and Vin. I got Benjamin coming on. MJ has some personal stuff to take care of, so filling the spot on with those guys, and a good weekend or a good week to film with guys like that. You know what? This is 2 hours that I don't even know if anybody's watching, man. And I do want to do this again because I told you years ago that I really wanted you to invite me on yours, and it's a hey, invite me on yours thing, but I want to work with you sometime. I enjoy the conversations. Hope we're gonna go herping in the morning and have some pictures to show off. But like I said, I appreciate it, man.
I love you.
Honestly, I love you too, man. All right, guys. Why don't you plug your podcast? Talk about it a little bit, man.
Yeah, check us out, Reptile Talk Podcast. Jeremy and I record periodically. We're working on getting some some more people on. Definitely have Dave on. We're looking at having Ron St. Pierre on again to talk about his Emerald Tree Boas. So we kind of do like niche flow conversations where we're talking about specific unusual animals that people work with and trying to take a little bit of a different perspective on how people get interviewed. So check us out, Reptile Talk Podcast. Check out Jeremy, Brassman Reptiles. I mean, on Instagram, TikTok, all that jazz. I'm Rob is keeping it real. So
That you sound so much better than when I have to do that kind of thing. I suck at that kind of stuff. Hey, we love all you guys, honestly. Thank you for sticking around.
Make sure that if you got to this point, you like this video and share it with somebody.
See, I don't know how to say things like that. Thank you, guys.